Hello and welcome to the Computer Game Show. I am Sean Bell. I am joined by Matthew Murray.
Hello.
And James, the reluctant trumpet player, Farley.
Hi. I'd completely forgotten about that. I wasn't going to bring
Had you? Well, I haven't.
I don't know why this is a thing. I don't understand, but...
It's because part of me was like, do I mention this? Because I don't like to just make fun of the fact that, like, you used to play a relative, not an obscure instrument, but you know what I mean. It's not common.
Well,
but
it's not really that obscure.
No, but it's just, you know when you just find out something about someone and it's just like, fuck me, you play...
Yeah, it was really out of the blue.
It just caught me off guard, and it was just, and obviously you were like really negative about it because that's you, innit?
We should probably explain. So on your Daily Premonition stream, and we're going to cover that later. Yep. Randomly, so I guess it's got jazz in it, and the trumpet must have appeared, and you said, well, that you used to do jazz, you used to do trumpet, play trumpet, and I hate it, and that. We think that probably goes somewhere to explaining why you hate Dave and I doing the trumpet sounds.
It's absolutely nothing to do with that
at all. It's like flashbacks to you as a child having to learn trumpet.
Yeah, nothing to do with that.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, but can you still play if someone were to hand you a trumpet?
I could probably play a bit, but it's just it was a very long time ago.
Guys,
I was in.
I was going to say you're doing a live show at Res in April. Everyone, okay.
First it's the breakdancing, now this.
Do you know? I think I've still got it in the loft somewhere. Actually,
have you?
But you see, the last time I played it was seriously like, when was it? This would have been when I was like in secondary school. Like, so you're looking at like, not 30 years ago, but like 25 years or so ago. So it's a long time, to not have played. I mean, it was the typical thing, I had to play it because I was forced to play it, by family and everything.
Okay.
And, I hated practicing it, didn't enjoy it as an instrument at all. But, I got to grade 2, which is rubbish. So, wasn't very good at it.
But yeah, but to me, it's like it's actual like magic because I never did any like brass or woodwind instruments. I only ever did like played a bit of guitar, and I was pretty shit at that.
Well, so what do you think is more magic, Sean? Playing trumpet or cam girls?
Fucking hell! Speaking of which, do you want to get onto the feedback?
I don't think we had any feedback. Oh, no, we did actually, yes. Athene Allen given some feedback about last week's show. I really can't believe the first show of the year had a discussion on female ejaculation. Dave leaving really has changed the direction of the pod.
I don't really feel like it was a discussion about female ejaculation. It came up as part of the news story. Do you know what I mean?
It just naturally came up. It just happened to be the first one back, and that's that. So, there does feel other people saying, "Wow, I can't believe Sean's talking about female ejaculation on the first week back." But new direction.
As if I go on about it all the time.
Matt. Just keep saying the word over and over again.
Well, female, it's fine. Speaking about the whole story. Wrecked Reese on Twitter, just listened to episode 1 AD after Dave. Great work, really enjoyed it. Just a fact check though, the guy on Weird works at medieval reenactments rather than a themed restaurant. Fair play for shouting out a great podcast though.
Yeah, right, I saw this and I actually checked just after the recording. So it's medieval times, it's both. You get food and a show at the same. You can look it up. And the Weird Work episode, he's the head knight at medieval times. There's a thing. Yeah,
so that sounds even better than last week. I was thinking, okay, wow, so this is a themed restaurant. But the fact you actually get to see that stuff and eat the themed food, it's
It
sounds amazing.
Yeah, they actually got in touch and stuff.
Saying, listen to you guys discuss medieval times. Have none of you seen Cable Guy? And I totally forgot about that as well.
I have, but it was such a long time ago.
Yeah, I mean, my memory's bad of like a film I watched last week, so it doesn't surprise me. I didn't remember the moment in Cable Guy, but yeah, when I saw the picture he sent, I was like, oh god, of course.
So I've never seen that, so that's
oh, it should.
My head.
The thing with Cable Guy, right, is that it got a lot of shit when it came out, and then it's sort of because it basically isn't the hook, is it? So it's this guy who's obsessed with TV. and it's like pretty much every line of dialogue is a quote from another show. Like everything he says. And that's and I think some people found that irritating, but obviously it's kind of genius as well.
Yeah, I thought it was brilliant at the time.
Yeah. What else we got?
Andre, you should see that, James. Andre Gushwind, great episode last week. Sean was the only sane choice for hosting duty. James does not care enough, and Matt cares too much. Which
As ever, I am the lukewarm water between two.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably right. I don't quite know what that means, but I think you're definitely right. It would only be in a total car crash if it was me. Would you say you don't care enough, James?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
I mean...
No, the correct answer to that was whatever. I don't know.
I care, but in my own way. I mean, not enough to want to drive this thing. Let's put it that way. You know, it's
you care, but you just don't have any ego, do you? Just just quite happy.
Yeah, I'm quite happy to sit here and have everyone take the mickey out of my trumpet playing skills.
Well, we've not heard them yet.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, if you're shit at trumpet, then we'll take the piss. But if you're great, then we're like, that's brilliant.
Mm-hmm. And to be clear, like trumpet. If you came out and did like a half decent rendition of "Twinkle Twinkle Little Star," I'd be impressed. So
I could definitely play that. That's no problem.
Yeah, well, there you go. It'd be fine.
James, is there a trumpet in your house right now?
There might be. I don't know. I mean, I haven't checked. I'd have to check the loft and see if I can find one.
I mean, we start recording early now, so we've got plenty of time. I mean, Sean and I do not mind waiting for 15 minutes.
Yeah, we can break for a bit. And,
I was talking about the dream that we finished this like sometime after 10. I mean, that's my dream.
It's getting early, isn't it?
Me exploring the loft is not going to add to that, so no.
How big is the loft? Just have a quick rummage around.
No, it's not that big. It's stuff everywhere, isn't it? It'd take ages to get through everything.
Well, just ask your parents where the trumpets are.
No, I'm not. Look, I'm not. Just move on.
Okay,
I'm not doing this.
Andre continues. Shame on James for not enjoying Switzerland, though. My country is great for holidays, especially Christmas.
It's fine.
James doesn't agree.
Switzerland is a lovely country. Just there was other reasons. It was nothing to do with the country.
From what I understand, Switzerland wasn't the problem. It was the company.
I've been there many times. It's a very nice place. It's just yeah.
It's a shame that you had to share it with on this occasion.
Yeah. Cool. On last week's show, we talked about the Resident Evil 2 demo. Adam Capone tweets in, quote of the show so far is James. We're talking about one of the enemies in the game. It's similar to the one in Nemesis. Resident Evil 3. I've forgotten his name.
I didn't actually say Nemesis.
Referring to the enemy called Nemesis in Resident Evil 3. Well, Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, in fact. Yeah. And then Sean asked, "Screaming Tyrant, Mr. X, Nemesis." Yeah, at the computer right now. Yeah, so, I mean, but you did say Nemesis, James. You forgot the name.
I don't remember. But yeah,
I
just
thought
completely
you did as well.
forgot.
So I remember sitting there thinking, he must not, in the one in 2 must not be Nemesis, it must be something else. Yeah.
I thought it was Mr. X. And I thought I watched a bit like a 15 Things You Don't Know About Resident Evil 2 the other day, and that's what they said, but maybe they're wrong as well.
Okay. Oh, it's right. So Tyrant's Resi 1.
Oh, God, we're doing it again.
Then Mr. X, then Nemesis, right?
Probably. We should.
I hope we're getting it wrong and people have to correct us again.
They're getting on the same subject. Also on last week's show, Sean signed off with a line which should go down in history. Thanks for letting us be natural. I've heard that bit a few times since, and it makes me laugh every time.
That went a lot better than I thought it was.
That was just totally off the top of your head, was it?
Yeah. And I was like, that's not going to stay. I'll have to just do a new one every week. But no, everyone seems to be into it.
A few people have been tweeting, thanks for letting us be natural, the hashtag.
Yeah. I'm disappointed, Sean, that it was off the top of your head, because I just love the idea that you'd spent the whole week like riffing off these with New or something like that. Saying, how does that sound?
Like we're workshopping it, focus testing it. People saying, it's brilliant, it's really funny, and it was an amazing moment. Ben Syme at Scientologist, is that a better sign-off than thanks for all the wicked games, or whatever Matt said that time? It definitely is. It's 100% better.
That was a good one, though. I did enjoy that.
James, you're yet to create a sign-off, aren't you?
It's not going to happen, is it? So
I'm
never going to be in a situation where I've got to do that, so it's fine.
Well, might have to do a one-man show.
There might be a time where one of us is off and the other one has a really bad sore throat and you're the only one who could do most of the talking.
Then we don't record, Matt.
We don't let the listeners down, James. How many times? Sean S. Thomas on Twitter, looking forward to the thanks for letting us be natural t-shirts. Don't think I haven't thought about that one, Sean. Do not think, Sean Thomas, I mean. So we talked about our new streaming schedule. We've already done a couple. James did his first Deadly Premonition stream on Friday. I did my first Bloodborne stream on Sunday, and then Sean's was, as we record tomorrow, but as you're listening to this last night, Che Guevara said, make the streams competitive. Most live viewers in a week wins, losers get a forfeit. I thought,
it's not fair though, is it? Because it's like I'm playing a rubbish game that no one wants to watch.
Oh, but it's a rubbish but funny game. That's the. I think if anything, you've got it relatively easy.
I thought it was an interesting idea, but it's probably a bit too dangerous. But
yes.
but I mean, how do you think your stream went on Friday, James?
I think it was. I don't know. Maybe it was okay. I think I talked too much, which was part of the problem.
You talked the right amount.
Yeah. Personal highlights. The little shrieks you were doing when enemies were appearing out of nowhere. That was good. And the bit where you're just like, oh, I'm just going to have a look at the comments as an enemy clearly walks into view. Yeah. You can see it, like you looking down as the enemy comes. And everyone's just going, no!
Yeah, there's also like an enemy that kept putting their arms in your mouth, and you're like,
Jesus, that was horrific.
Odd, like that really made me laugh. That did, because it just looked ridiculous. Well, it was all like clipping as well, like through his throat, through his neck, and everything. So it just looked stupid.
Well, that's what sort of made me laugh about the little shrieks you were doing, because to me, like seeing you play what I would consider quite, not necessarily scary, but certainly unnerving stuff, you just seem to take it in your stride. So then when something does catch you, that's really funny to me. But no, I thought it was very entertaining. I didn't get a chance to catch yours. How did it go?
Yeah, right. It was fine. But just touching on James' ones again, yeah, I mean, I have heard of Deadly Premonition, and you know, I've heard it recommended that you would absolutely love it. So I also know nothing about it, and it is incredibly weird. That first sequence just felt a bit out of place, where it's just a shooting gallery and you were trying to fix some generators, but then you got to the hotel and then it's just getting really weird, and it's like the dream sequence. So I cannot wait to see where it goes, because
I gather it's more of the latter half.
Okay, good, yeah.
Because apparently someone was saying in the comments, I forget who it was, apologies if it was you and you're listening to this, but apparently Swery didn't want to put combat in, which is why it's not very good, and I don't think there's a huge amount of it, so you might be all right.
See, my favourite bit with that I really enjoyed with the hotel was, I mean, I love that massive table. That was brilliant.
That was absolutely brilliant.
There was the massive table, but then also the fact that, you know, you're asking questions and then the music kept kicking in, but it was too loud.
I thought that was so good.
That's the thing, because there are just enough elements of it that are clearly written as comedy that you're like, well, what about all the other things that are like kind of funny because they're shit? Like, is that all on purpose, or like you can never really get a handle on what's intentional and what isn't, and that's sort of why I find it fascinating.
Yeah, like every time the main character was going up to people and saying like FBI, and it's like, okay, is the way he's doing that on purpose?
Was the way he kept on showing his badge and then repeating his name, but then also the other bit that slayed me was when he was like smoking and then they all started coughing, and that I don't know why.
Blowing smoke in their faces.
That's so good, because he lit a cigarette and blew it, and then it cuts the other person in the scene, and you just see like the smoke going in. Yeah, it's really well done. I just want it to get more and more weird, frankly.
I'm looking forward to playing some more, but I mean, I think I need to commit to playing for longer each time as well, I think, because maybe, I mean, what do you think? I mean, I think maybe I played for about an hour, 10 minutes or so.
It wasn't long enough, because I think it was yours like an hour and 10 or 15 or whatever, and like we'd done like the weird shooting bit and then the dream bit, and then we got to hotel and everyone's like, oh, come on, we want to see more. Every bit of dialogue seemed to be weirder and weirder, and I mean, me having never played it, I just wanted to see what was happening next, and you cut us off too soon, so it would be good to do a longer one for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think you just maybe need to be just a bit adaptable with it, because like I think that first one felt a bit short just because you had the long combat bit at the start, whereas if you do another one and it's quite sort of story heavy, then an hour's probably about right. But it'll vary.
Can I ask you a question about it though? Because you've played and finished this, yeah?
Oh God, no! You've played up to like where I got to, so
because I just know about it. Like, is there significantly more combat like in this? Because the combat so far has been the worst bit of it, and
yeah, as I say, I don't think there's a huge amount, or certainly like it's not a bit of the game that like anyone talks about. There's other slightly tedious stuff for you to look forward to. I'm just trying to think. There's one thing I will warn you about. So you get a car. I don't know if it's the one you started with and fucked into a tree, but you get a car and you have to like manage like how much petrol you've got.
Right.
And like it just literally you can't go more than like 3 minutes driving without having to fill up your petrol.
Oh yes.
So look forward to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the combat is pretty sparse, to be honest.
And it's not a short game either. It's like a 20-hour game, isn't it?
It's 30, isn't it? I think.
Oh God.
No, I have to confess, I had a look on how long to beat, and it said it was about 20 hours roughly.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
That's what I'm hoping for. Because I figure
it's only half the year. It's fine.
Yeah, well, no, because I figure if I do like an hour and a half to 2 hours each time, then I can get through it in 10 weeks.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
It's fine. I mean,
obviously, if it does just like if you are just fully not enjoying it anymore, then bin it and play something else. But
No, Sean, that's not.
No, I can't do that, Sean.
If
is that not the rules?
Okay. You carry on.
No, look, I'm trying to set a precedent for when I eventually do the fucking journey. So I'm gonna be that's fine. We can just quit.
I played and finished Beyond Two Souls, which is one of the worst games ever made. You're going to play the journey.
Also, Beyond Two Souls isn't short either, is it? So
no, it's ridiculously long and terrible.
Is it? I assumed it's like a sort of 8 or 9 hour deal, isn't it?
It's about 15 hours at least. It's just it was the worst.
And then
game.
you've got to play it again and make all different choices in the story. And
no, not going to do that.
but I did my Bloodborne on Sunday. It's really good to be back, and I haven't played Bloodborne before, obviously, but I played and absolutely loved Dark Souls. So it's just good to be back on doing a Sunday night Soulsborne stream, and I had all the regulars back. It was great. I mean, the game itself there's obviously loads of Dark Souls like things, but there's also enough different in it so far. That I'm like, okay, so how does this work and how does that work? But no, I mean, and because you don't have a shield in Bloodborne, it's trying to make you be much more aggressive. Which I'm finding really interesting at the moment, and I can't wait to get back. I mean, I've only played once, but I'm already like, it's a shame I can only play it once a week, really. Whereas this time, after the first stream of Dark Souls, I wasn't loving it. Obviously, nothing like I was towards the end of the game. I'm super happy I've started.
I'll tell you what, Matt. I mean, I popped in to have a look, and you were bossing it. Like you were really seemed to be doing pretty well. I was impressed.
It's probably just beginner's luck. I'm sure. I mean, I'm sure that game's going to kick me in the ass. But yeah, I think because it rewards aggression. I think I can just keep hammering the button. I'm sure at some point that tactic isn't going to work. But also, all the stuff from Dark Souls is sort of ingrained into me that I'm trying to look for tells. I'm not just diving out. If they come towards me, I'm going to dive out of the way or sidestep out of the way. It's still the basics I'm struggling with, like pressing the right buttons, etc. But no, it's good.
Yeah,
and it looks obviously a lot better than Dark Souls did when I played that.
Yeah, like I think people love it as much as they do because, I mean, all right, people have got legitimate problems with Dark Souls 2. I really like it. Dark Souls 3, like, on paper is probably as good as Dark Souls 1. It's just the familiarity of it sort of doesn't kill it, but it sort of spoils it a bit because you basically know what the deal is. Whereas with Bloodborne, it's just changed up enough that you don't quite, it just wrong foots you a little bit. And I think that makes a huge difference. Like, I know it's basically like, so this is, like this stuff is the soul equivalent and this is the humanity equivalent. And but it's just different enough, and it's got some very interesting ideas of its own, like later on, which you will see.
Yeah, so you finished it, have you, Sean?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, so in terms of like all the mystery and the lore, has it got that makes Dark Souls so interesting? But in this game,
oh god, yeah.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay,
good. I don't know if it's as because like Dark Souls is something that people really sort of took to heart and sort of thought about a lot. Bloodborne is like a very cool and deep story. I don't know if it's quite the same. Like it's quite sort of self-contained. It's not like I don't know. You'll see what I mean.
Yeah.
By the time you get to
the
end.
It's good. I mean, all the interesting changes are it's the blood vials, isn't it? And the blood vials are basically your Estus, but unlike Estus, you can carry up to like 99, and you're getting them from enemies when they drop them. So that's already an interesting change.
Potentially finite, so they don't magically restore when you rest at a lantern or whatever.
Yeah, lantern,
So you might find if you ever want to do some like sort of between stream runs, you might like just do a bit of vial farming. That is a thing you might have to do at some point.
But no, we'll so I got to the a boss. I presume it's the first boss, and I got it down to like. Well, I think I didn't even quite get down to half health, and I sort of ran in it accidentally when I was trying to get a shortcut opened, which I did, and then I ran the long way round and got killed. So that's how the stream went.
The cleric beast, yeah.
I don't remember his name. It's that big old guy,
big lad on a bridge.
On the bridge, yeah. So I ran past like big crows and other things, and then bumped into that.
Because you, am I right in remembering that you can't level up until you've beaten him, or have I got that wrong?
No. So I certainly attempted him, and then I got killed, and then I was back in the Hunter's Dream hub area, and the doll lady or the doll, she then allowed me to upgrade. So
okay,
yeah. So I went back in, got some more blood echoes, then upgraded, and now turned it off. So. Yeah, because I was attempting him without even doing anything to my character. But it's fun. I cannot wait to get back to it because I just miss the Sunday night streams, and it's good to be back in the Soulsborne Souls game again for sure.
Cool.
That's it. But you're streaming yesterday technically.
Yes, I am streaming yesterday. I don't know what I was going to say. I don't know what the deal is. I don't know if I should spoil what I played, but then of course this is after the stream.
But people last night were saying, "What's Sean streaming?" And I didn't want to say anything, but we can now, I guess, because it's technically
it's already happened. After. So I was streaming Desert Child on the Switch.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah, like I don't know a huge amount about it, and I think that's going to be the plan, to try and generally play things I don't know a huge amount about either, unless that results in an hour-long stream of me just being like, what am I supposed to do? I don't know what's going on. So yeah, we'll see.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to doing that.
When I like to create a graphic for it, I put like you're streaming games old and new, because I didn't want to say, you're streaming new indie games every week, because I know how this can get pretty expensive. So
if I run out of ideas, I can just start going through my Steam library.
Exactly, But Desert Child. So that was that the one that got announced at Kind of Funny Game Showcase, or was that the Game Show one?
It was
Game Awards?
Yeah. So they had a trailer for it. I think that was the sort of trailer and release date announcement. I think.
So I'm looking forward to seeing that. So that is that was yesterday. But anyway, Sean's stream is already at this point probably on our YouTube channel, as are all our streams. So go there and you can watch them back if you can't catch them live. That's it for follow-up. If you want to leave us follow-up or feedback, it's at...
Wait, what was that? What was that laugh for?
Well, only because we weren't even talking about follow-up towards the end.
Oh, okay.
But so if you want to leave us feedback or any sort of comments, it's at ComputerGamePod on Twitter, or you can email podcast@thecomputergameshow.com.
Cool. James?
Okay, we got some news. It's been, as I've said before many times, a bit of a slow news week. There's been a couple of things. I thought we could kick off with the EA cancelling the Star Wars open world game.
This just feels like this is every week now at this point, doesn't it?
It does. I mean, they love cancelling things. And this time, this is the one that they... Okay, so they finally killed this one. This was originally the Visceral game from 2013 that they killed.
Okay, yeah.
And then it was overhauled in 2017, but now it appears to be completely done. So
Jesus.
EA have said that the work is going to evolve and that it's going to be used in other projects, and that apparently EA Vancouver were working on this. And it changed because it became codenamed Orca and was going to focus on like bounty hunters and scoundrels, like going from world to world, making of working with different factions and that kind of thing. But they've binned it now, and they've now got another Star Wars project in the works, but it's going to be a lot smaller, and but maybe some bits of this will end up in that. But basically, they're done with it. Really,
I mean, it is a shame, but obviously they don't make decisions like this lightly. And presumably, it really wasn't working for some reason or another. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it is still a shame.
This is the Amy Hennig game, right?
That's right. But then she left in 2017, or was that last year? I can't remember. Recently, anyway. Yeah. She left. So I was already a bit anxious. And then, and now this.
Yeah, it's such a shame because obviously, she was like the original Uncharted writer, I get, or certainly behind the original team. And so you think, wow, this could be really exciting. Star Wars plus Uncharted, sort of, pedigree. And then,
because let's face it, you could pretty much just put Nathan Drake in Star Wars, and it's like, oh yeah, he's a roguish bounty hunter. That's fine.
It basically writes itself. And then when she left, it was like, well, clearly there's massive issues because because she had been there for a few years and then we'd seen nothing from it. Yeah. It's just it's and then it's a shame. I mean, there was it just feels like they don't really know what they're doing. Really, because we haven't. What have we seen? We've seen Battlefront 1 and 2.
But then, I mean, like Battlefront 1 was fine. 2 was probably a good game, but totally marred by all the microtransaction stuff. Which, and you know what? Like, you can get that game for about £20 now, and it's probably really good. And I think they've taken all the bad shit out now.
Yeah, because the second one seemed good because certainly in the lead up there was all those story trailers and the female leads, and it was like, okay, this does seem really good. And then it came out, and I guess the reviews weren't amazing, and then also the microtransaction stuff, and now I didn't go for it. The first one seemed okay, but there was no single player, and I think when I played the beta, it basically seemed like a battlefield with a Star Wars skin. It looked absolutely gorgeous, and it was fun to. It was fun to play, but I didn't go back after that beta or demo, whatever it was. I think it was like the 10-hour trial on EA Access, maybe on Xbox. But it just feels like they don't know what they're doing with this amazing franchise, and EA, one of the biggest companies, and one of the best places for companies to do this, and nothing's happened.
Because presumably,
So they've had Battlefront 1 and 2 rather. There is Knights of the Old Republic, which they're continuing to support as well. Although I don't know how much.
The online one too.
Yeah. Do you mean the Old Republic?
Yeah, Knights of the Old Republic, which we don't know what's going on with that. There was a mobile game, Galaxy of Heroes, which came out. And
that's massive. Like, people really enjoy that.
So that's probably where they're making all the cash, isn't it? Is through that, because it's like in-app purchases, the whole thing. And then there's Respawn, obviously, working on Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order or whatever, which is apparently later this year. But, I mean, you're right. It's like how they've totally run this into the ground, in a sense. And you're just thinking, how have they done that with such a massive license as like Star Wars, that it seems to have been so poorly planned, like everything. It's just odd.
It must be so embarrassing for EA. Yeah. They're probably waiting for a call from Disney or someone thinking, "Oh, God, we're going absolutely bollocks." Like, what have you guys produced over the last 5 years? It's not exactly what they expected, I guess.
Yeah, it's one of those that as a consumer, it's easy to just sort of sit there and be like, "Look, it's such a rich universe, and it takes place over such a a really long time that there are so many characters and settings and stuff that you could just pull and would make really good video games." Obviously, it's not that simple, which is why like how many really great Star Wars games have we had in the last 10 years?
In the last 10 years, there's probably not been that many, but there has been a lot of really good ones in the past. Yeah. But then, I mean, Matt got me to listen to the Kind of Funny podcast where they talked about this, and one of the points they made was that there's been hundreds and hundreds of Star Wars games, and actually there's only really been a handful of really good ones. There's been a lot of trash as well.
Was that one on the GameCube that I loved good? Was that class as one of the good ones?
Which one? Bounty Hunter.
The first one that came out of the launch. I think it came out at launch. It was
Rogue Squadron.
Yeah, Rogue Squadron. That looked stunning at the time, and I really enjoyed it. But is that class as one of the good ones?
I think a lot of people think it was good. I disagree.
Didn't you like it even at the time?
No, because the thing is, you see, I'd come from the PC background of playing stuff like X-Wing and TIE Fighter, so I really like the idea of a flight sim Star Wars kind of thing.
Yeah, but the answer to Matt's question is yes, it is one of the good ones.
Yeah.
I did not enjoy it very much.
Not by James,
I know what you mean. They did, yes. Obviously.
And then I didn't play Bev and Love KOTOR.
Yeah, that was amazing.
And the second one wasn't
bad.
The second one was great. They just didn't get a chance to finish it, which is a shame. Yeah.
So was KOTOR it was like a Mass Effect style massive RPG? Was it more in depth, or was it not that at all?
I think in a lot of ways it was like a proto Mass Effect, really. Yeah, pretty much. Obviously, but with lightsaber battles and force powers and stuff instead of guns and biotics. There was guns as well, but it wasn't very hands-on, was it? It was just click on the enemy and it just sort of auto attacks and stuff. Mm-hmm. I think you can get that on like mobile devices now.
You
can't
can get it on everything. Really,
Yeah.
I think it's you can even get it on Mac. I mean, that shows you how it's been on everything.
Okay.
And really good stories. I presume, because Matt, I presume you haven't had the story spoiled for you.
No,
in any way.
nothing.
Yeah, probably worth a go. I don't know how long they take to beat though. That's the only thing.
Well, they're pretty. I mean, they're pretty long. As in, you're looking at like sort of 30 to 40 hours, and also they've aged like visually really. They don't look great, but they're really good stories though.
Yeah, for sure. Jedi Knight was awesome.
That was good. Yeah.
And then there's another couple of those. There was so you had Dark Forces 1, and then Dark Forces 2, Jedi Knight, and then Jedi Knight 2 and Jedi Knight 3. They just forgot about the Dark Forces bit. But it's a shame.
So now all the pressure's on this Respawn game, and obviously Respawn are a fantastic studio.
Yeah,
I guess. It's hard to work out whether all this is maybe. It's really hard for EA to do things and get all. There's probably like so much red tape and having to make sure it abides by the Star Wars canon and history and this and the other. I'm sure it's not easy for EA as well. But is it them or is it what? Yeah.
I was going to say, for all we know,
with any of that, it's just the fact that EA have spent all this time trying to figure out how they can monetize this as best as possible, and then it's gone badly. I mean, you look at particularly Battlefront 2, like they tried their best to try and put all the microtransactions and everything in. That went really badly. Everyone hated it. You've got a mobile game that's also, in-app purchases, all that kind of thing. The thing with the Visceral game was that they were clearly looked at that and were like, we can't make mad amounts of money off this. So, we're looking for another Battle Royale game or something like that we can make loads of money. And this isn't going to do that. It's all about the bottom line. That's the only reason they've really badly mismanaged this.
Yeah, well, that's such a shame because all something to do is make a half good Star Wars game and that would do really well. But because they've sort of
that's the thing, isn't it?
Poisoned all those games with trying to monetize them, even though they're probably making a shed load from the actual deal itself. The monetization is just screwing over. I don't think that the one which would be the Amy Hennig game, I don't think that doesn't sound like a game that would have loads of monetization. That feels like a.
I know that's why they cancelled it.
That's what you're saying, isn't it? Basically EA are probably thinking, well, there's not that much money in just a one-shot single-player game.
And they probably did say that. And then last year we had things like God of War and Spider-Man and Red Dead and Red Dead's got the online. But we've had loads of really fantastic single-player experiences over the last couple of years, basically since EA probably said or maybe indirectly said that single-player games are dead. And then they probably thought, well, PUBG is doing well, we'll quickly spin to something else. And then it just feels like they don't know what they're doing. But I really hope to God this new one from the Titanfall devs. I hope it does well, or is good, or we see it at some point soon.
I just hope it comes out at this point. I know it'll be decent. It's just
I mean, they should have put BioWare on the license, and put out another,
just make another KOTOR.
Would have been brilliant, but didn't bother.
Well, they've still got 5 years left on the license. If they start now, maybe it'll be out
5 years.
And we'll see if they renew it for another 10. Maybe it'll be out in time.
Well, I think it depends on how Anthem goes, doesn't it, as to BioWare's fate.
It's a shame. But it would be amazing to have a Star Wars Amy Hennig Uncharted style game, but it's just not happening. If anyone wants to hear a bit more, the chat between Greg and Gary on Kind of Funny is really, really good, because obviously Gary Witter he wrote Rogue One, so he's got a bit of inside knowledge about how that all works anyway. It's a really good little chat. But this is a shame. I wonder what's going to happen, if EA are going to keep a license or not.
I doubt it. I mean, if they're definitely not going to keep it beyond 10 years, are they? I mean,
but who did it go to? Loads of different studios rather than one.
Well, that would be better. I mean,
Activision, mate, they've got now else to do.
I was thinking that Activision. I thought, okay, if it's not EA, who else? Activision is obviously the next obvious one, but THQ Nordic, they've got about 60 studios now. That's true. They could do it.
Okay.
Right, what else we got?
Other news so we've got, this is some Starbreeze news, because before we had the whole thing about there was problems at Starbreeze, and now the Overkill's Walking Dead looks like it's kind of finished. So Starbreeze have postponed the console release of this, and there's no indication of when it's going to come out or if it's going to come out, and so this is because Starbreeze are still trying to restructure, and they're selling off like aspects of their business that they consider to be like what they describe as non-core. So like the VR stuff's all gone.
Mm-hmm.
And the console port of this was going to be handled by, well, it was being handled by D3T, who are from like Cheshire, and then 505 Games were going to publish it. But then it turns out that from this restructure, this is according to the Eurogamer article, that because of the restructure, Starbreeze doesn't have to pay contractors for the moment. So I'd imagine that's probably why this has been delayed, because they're not being paid. And because Starbreeze is still apparently in £34 million worth of debt, and because I mean, a lot of these problems seem to go back to The Walking Dead for Starbreeze, because the PC launch didn't go very well, and like at the moment, it's got like less than 800 concurrent players on Steam, like actually playing the game. So it's kind of gone badly, and I think that's kind of the thing.
Is The Walking Dead a cursed license? Like, has a Telltale
See, again,
stuff?
it seems like another one that's like, well, it's fucking massive. How do you fuck this up? But it's
I mean, I don't watch the TV show anymore because after like the first 2 or 3 series, I just couldn't be asked. I prefer the comics.
Terrible, Matt.
But
I gave up. I gave up about 2 seasons ago. I just couldn't do it anymore.
I think I might have actually got to like 4 or 5. It was after the prison stuff. I was like, this is just moany, and it wasn't. None of the characters were as good as I liked them in the comics, so I just gave up. But I don't know, and I know. I think in the latest series, like Rick's left, so God knows what a TV show is doing these days. And maybe it's like a general sort of. The general sentiment towards The Walking Dead as a franchise isn't great, but then obviously this is also the company trying to work on this obviously hasn't gone through good times. Neither did Telltale. It's the whole thing's a disaster for the franchise, isn't it?
Well, no, because it's weird, because it's one of those things where you see everyone moans about The Walking Dead, everyone says it's really bad and everything, but then for some it does get very high viewing figures still. I mean, I know that they've pulled, like they've gone down a bit, but it's still, for TV doing very, very well, which is why they keep plugging away, I guess, with it. I mean, did you ever see the spin-off they did, like the Fear the Walking Dead?
I didn't see it, but I knew it was out there.
Yeah, I mean, that started not too bad. It was all right. I mean, all of those I bounced off because it just got too repetitive, and they just continuously make stupid decisions, and you begin to lose respect for characters because you just think, what are you doing?
But I mean, it says that this has been delayed, but this is dead, isn't it? I mean,
it's not happening, is it? Yeah,
postponed indefinitely.
It comes back
it's another. I mean, I don't remember seeing much about this game, and if you said, there's a Walking Dead game coming out, I've literally no interest in it, sadly. It's a shame. It's just another, I don't know, more mistakes by another company with a franchise that you think can't fail.
Yeah.
And they do.
But then it was so weird because there was when the Telltale Walking Dead series was happening, there was like a shit FPS as well, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Because I remember getting into a heated argument with people at work. So I was like, "Oh my god, are you playing The Walking Dead?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, I bought it. It's rubbish." And and it turned out they were playing the first person shooter. And I was like, "Well, yeah, okay. So you're not wrong, but you are an idiot for buying that one and not the Telltale one." Yeah. Because when Telltale's The Walking Dead came out, it was like such a fucking revelation for everyone that it was like, "Oh my god, this is how like point and click games can work in like the modern era." As it happens, they then took that template and totally ran it into the ground. But at the time, it was like such a big thing. And now it seems you can't fucking sell a Walking Dead game to people.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Actually, I downloaded episode 2 of the because I didn't even know it had come out. Like this was this is before all the troubles that there were. So I need to play that before the third one comes out. It's
the third one's out now, isn't it?
I don't think so, not just yet. It's I think it's out very soon, but yeah, it's definitely out this month. But
amazing. By the way, the first person shooter game. This is that game, Sean. This is the FPS Walking Dead game.
Is that no? There was one like years and years and years ago when the first series of the Telltale one came out. Yeah, and because I remember there was a really funny video where someone realised that like all these zombies would come after you, and you could just like run around to this other side of the fence, and then they'd sort of stop, and then they would like run like the long way around the fence when they really didn't need to, and then you could just pop back around it. Yeah.
Stupid zombies. Yeah. So are you excited for Walking Dead, the proper one to finish in, James?
Yeah, I mean, I want to see, as I said, I want to see how Clementine's story ends, but it is just kind of sad, isn't it? Really, I mean, what happened to that? I mean, Sean, you said like they ran it into the ground, but it's like I still feel there was potential with that. Maybe not with the way they were doing it, but the most recent Walking Dead series really did offers something different. I felt like they had improved the engine considerably. It was interesting, and it could have been good.
Yeah.
It's I mean, I enjoyed the Batman release that they did not that long ago, and I've still got Series 2 of that to play at some point if I can still download it. Because
I'm just waiting for that to be cheap because I do think I would enjoy it.
Yeah, the first series is brilliant. Like I really enjoyed it. It was great.
Cool.
Yeah, so sorry. Episode 4 actually comes out March 26th. So you got plenty of time, James.
No, it must be episode 3 because episode 3 isn't out yet.
Okay, well, this website says episode 4, so God knows. Oh, no, it's season 4. Yeah, season 4, episode 4. It's called
When's episode 3 out?
When was 3 out, or is it not yet?
Don't matter. We'll get feedback about that.
Okay, all right, fine. Yeah, we'll just get shouted at. No worries.
Okay, next story. This is about H-Bomber Guy's Twitch stream. This is Harry Brewis, who's been streaming Donkey Kong 64. And he's been doing this to raise money for Mermaids, which is like a UK-based charity that offers support for transgender children, teenagers, and their families. And according to the article...
Okay, so stop. Okay, I was right. Episode 3 is out already. It came out on January 15th.
Right, okay. Fine, Matt. It's okay. You could have left
that. Emails and tweets start flying in.
But you could have left it until I finished talking, rather than just butting in. I mean, it's not. I thought that was going to be something relevant to this story, not something from the last one.
It's relevant to people who are already busy writing their tweets and emails.
Anyway,
carry on, James.
So this stream, it all started to spite Graham Linehan, because he questioned whether the charity should be received lottery funding, and apparently started a letter writing campaign with...
he went on Mumsnet and
one
fed
of the
them a
worst
load of shit
websites
about
in the
what
UK.
mermaids actually do, and then got them all to copy and paste a letter he wrote. So then the lottery were reviewing the funding.
Yeah.
So mermaids might still get it. I think no one's quite sure what's going on yet. Hopefully they'll realise that Graham Linehan is talking complete shit. I think he thinks that they drug children against their will and and stuff, and it's no, that's really
he's
not
got a lot
what
of
it's
problems.
about.
So
he has. Have you looked at his Twitter feed? He's actually insane. Even if you broadly agree with obviously trans children is a touchy subject. I'm not 100% on how I feel about it because obviously it's a big decision for a child to make or for someone to make on a child's behalf. But he's just talking absolute horrible shit all day, every day. It's just all he does. I just can't imagine just being oh yeah, I really enjoyed Father Ted. I'll follow the guy. Oh my god,
yeah. Because I used to follow him, and I also love Father Ted and the IT crowd in elements of that. And it's just I obviously don't follow him now, and all I hear is other people either talking about him or they've retweeted or Graham said something again, and I'll search for his username. I'm oh my god, why?
It's one of those things where it's what's he said this time?
Exactly, yeah.
So anyway,
he
started this whole letter writing campaign, and this guy Harry Brewis was kind of annoyed about this, understandably, and he started a stream to gain donations, and the stream's been wildly successful because he's raised more than $280,000. Which,
I think got to 350 odd, didn't it?
Yeah, it's 350 plus in the end, I think.
Wow, okay. And it was also, the stream was visited by John Romero, Jim Sterling, Chelsea Manning, but also Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez as well, dropped in, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, which was amazing. Have you heard the audio? Yeah, it's
because I happened to be watching live, and someone said oh my god, she's just joined the Discord server. And Harris's eyes, obviously, he's on hour 50 of playing fucking Donkey Kong 64.
And he's just game to play as well.
What is happening?
It's not good.
Oh yeah, it's a shit game as well. It was nice because there was a bit of lead up to it because he did a video. I think the video was just about why speedrunning is interesting in general, and he talks a bit about Donkey Kong 64 and how there's a hidden coin somewhere that you have to get in order to get 100% or 101% completion, and it's literally. There's no way that anyone could have known where it was without looking at the code, which is what someone did and found that there was this coin hidden in a patch of grass somewhere. And it's a very weird game. There's collectibles everywhere, but you need to be a certain character to grab certain collectibles.
I bought this at launch, Sean, and it was very expensive, and it was not a good game. At the time I tried to convince myself it was a good game, but it was mostly I think it was the worst of the rare collectathons in terms of the amount of stuff that you had. It was ridiculous.
Just the fact that you're running around just seeing things that you need to collect, but it's oh no, I need to go back and change character before I can pick up this particular colour banana.
Yeah,
it's absolutely bizarre. But yeah, no, I just thought that was a nice story, just like the amount of exposure it got, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how like the mainstream media reports on it, because it's just such a bizarre thing.
It is weird. I mean, I doubt Graham Linehan is very happy, with this, but
yeah, especially because that hashtag thanks Graham came about, and it was like trending in.
But yeah,
that was pretty good.
That was interesting story.
Yeah,
so anyway,
it's an amazing story.
Last one I've got here is this is one that Sean suggested. I mean, you won't be surprised when you hear the content, but it's the Indie Gamer Chick Collection is coming.
Yeah, so because initially I had no idea what this was. I've never followed Indie Gamer Chick, but apparently her whole thing, like when she started, was covering Xbox Live indie games.
Yeah,
and
so,
yeah.
I mean, I just realised I said it completely wrong. I don't know why I said it should be Indie Gamer Chick Collection, not Indie Gamer Chick Collection.
Chick Collection. I wonder why you said it that way, but
I don't know. I was just reading it off and I was like, that didn't sound right. So anyway, it's going to be. I mean, this is worth covering because we like to cover like indie games and stuff here, and this is going to be like a collection published by this is Ratalaika Games, I think it is.
Ratalaika, yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, and this is coming on Switch, PS4, Xbox One, and maybe Vita. So that's great for anyone that still plays that.
No,
and it's going to be a collection. They said of around a dozen of like Xbox Live indie games from 2008 to 2016, but there's no like confirmed lineup yet. But I guess it's good that stuff's still getting sort of looked at, really.
Getting preserved, because that that service just completely went down, didn't it? You can't even download like what used to be on there.
Yeah.
It just all went. And there's some really good stuff there. So yeah, so it was nice that some of it's getting preserved.
Yeah, definitely. If anyone listened to Chet and John's podcast back in the day, they were big they were big fans of the XBLIG games and like funny ones, bad ones, and then in the case of games like Bleed and some other things, there was some great titles on there. So it will be really interesting to see what this collection comprises of. And
because I was trying to think like off the top of my head what I would like to be on there. I mean, like I remember spending a lot of time on Minor Dig Deep. I don't know if you guys played that.
No.
But I that was really good. But it was a lot like the SteamWorld Dig games. So it was very good, but I probably don't need it. I would really like to play the Applejack games again. They were excellent.
Yeah, they were quite good.
There's probably others just off the top of my head.
Yeah, so Hidden in Plain Sight, was that an XBLIG game?
It was, yeah.
So
that was brilliant.
I mean, I haven't obviously played it for many years because you can't play it anymore. But although I think it's still on Steam, but that was an amazing local multiplayer game. It was so good.
Yeah,
so,
just like such a simple idea, like total, like no frills presentation or anything. But yeah, it was perfect.
Yeah, really so if that comes to Switch and like with like four of you with like a Joy-Con each, that could be fantastic to get. So yeah, I'm excited to see what's going on this list of the Indie Gamer Chick Collection.
Yeah.
Right, is that it for the news? Yeah,
that's it. Yeah, we've got nothing else. It's been a very quiet week. It's
cool. I mean, I'm surprised you didn't talk about that game that was sort of semi-announced in Watch Dogs 2 that got cancelled.
Oh come on, it's not interesting, is it? Who cares? I mean, we don't.
I mean, based off what I've just heard, that is kind of interesting. But
it was.
I'll believe you if you tell me it isn't.
Nothing about. It's like there's nothing to say about it. What's the point?
Well, I only know.
I haven't got Steam
in front of me, so I'm paraphrasing. No, but so basically in Watch Dogs 2, there's like a mission where you hack into Ubisoft, the studios or the office or whatever, and you basically have to in the game like leak this game trailer, and then or something along those lines. Anyway, this game trailer came out, and it basically was like a space game, and it was known as Pioneer, and then. But I'm not sure if it was ever officially announced.
Oh, is this the one that got cancelled? Yeah,
so it got cancelled. Yeah, and then,
right. Even though,
and then the other day, like two people who were working at Ubisoft now, I guess they were part of that team, just said Pioneer RIP.
Shit.
Yeah, it's just these games getting cancelled left, right, and centre. Maybe because they didn't see a future in it, I guess. But I thought that was interesting because like, how often do you get a game announced where you're hacking the game and then releasing the trailer? It never happens, James. How is that not interesting?
Well, it's not going to happen now, is it? Because it's been cancelled, and never mind.
There's probably a good list feature in like games that were announced in previous games, but no one knew it was an announcement of a game. Because there's a Destiny poster in Halo Reach.
Yeah, I remember that.
Stuff like that. But obviously, you just see it. It's like, all right, what's that? Who cares? And then it turns out like 5 years later that is the next game.
Yeah, I bet there's stuff still hidden that people never found, and the team aren't going to mention. And
Yeah.
Anyway.
Right. What have we been playing? I might go first because I haven't got much.
You go.
So let's get out of the way. Been playing Destiny 2, but Lord knows no one needs to hear any more about that. No, there's literally nothing new to say. It's just been cracking on doing the challenges and stuff and getting my power level up.
Are you still playing in a group, aren't you?
Yeah. And I've finally started doing the new stuff that's in the new DLC. Lit the first forge, got a machine gun. Fine. But I have also started playing Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom.
Oh yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm still pretty early on. I'm still a pig.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that is really early on.
Yeah. And obviously, it being one of those games, you start off with not many abilities. But yeah, it's fucking charming, isn't it? Just all the animation's absolutely beautiful, the locations and stuff. Yeah, really enjoying it.
Brilliant music as well. I thought it's I mean,
because I was umming and ahhing about it, and I was like, oh, do you know what? I'm just going to look at it on the eShop. And played the trailer, and the song that's on the trailer, the lyrics are like "Monster Boy fighting for a future full of love and joy." And I was like, £35, let's go. So bought it. Enjoying it, really charming. I'm looking forward to it because it is like a bit of a Metroidvania, isn't it?
Oh, completely. I mean, cool. It's that, but with much more sort of puzzle elements. Is the thing?
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, because at the moment what I'm doing is sort of linear, but I'm seeing things. It's like, right, I need an ability to do that or use that or whatever. But that's fine.
It's also quite tough in the beginning as well, but it get easier.
I'm glad you said that because I wondered if I was shit.
No. It's quite hard. There was bits in the beginning when I played it where I felt I was like, am I supposed to be doing this? Because it seems really difficult and a bit too difficult, if you know what I
mean. Yeah.
But it's actually, no, it's just you do have to push through it, but then it's fine. It's you start to get used to it and it's okay.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to cracking on with that. And I've also played a very tiny bit of Lightseekers. I don't know if you guys have seen this on the Switch.
What is that?
It's a card game. But it's one of these ones where I'm like, oh, brilliant, that's finally on the Switch. I'll play it. And then, of course, it's been on phones for ages. And arguably, the phone's probably the better place for it. I don't really think there's any reason to play it on the Switch over just playing it on your phone. Not least because they don't seem to have added any button controls. It's all touchscreen. Which, now that I think about it, presumably means you can't play it docked. So that's weird.
What? Have they put... I mean, there's a Voez game that was that... hand-docked only or handheld only?
Yeah, that was handheld only. There haven't been many games like that, have there? Yeah, not many, but I guess there is a precedent for it. Just like I said, barely played it. Just very interested in the sort of the main hook of it. Is that it's one of these games where you play cards and you try and damage the other person, and you have units that you sort of play like minions and then spells and stuff, which is all great and fine, quite normal. What's really interesting is that every minion that you play or different magic cards or whatever, each corner of them has either an attack number or a certain ability or whatever, and every turn they all rotate, and then whatever's in the top left is active that turn. So rather than playing a minion and then it's each turn you just sort of decide what it does, and then if it takes too much damage it dies. This is no, you place a minion and then it's turn 1 it's going to do this, turn 2 it's going to do this, turn 3 it's going to do this, and then turn 4 it goes. And that's really interesting. I've basically only done the tutorials, but I'm looking forward to the idea of actually sort of figuring out combinations. Right, if I play this and this on turn 1 and then this on turn 2 and this on turn 3, this is how they'll all sync up as they start turning around and activating different abilities in the subsequent turns. I just thought that was a really nice idea because since Hearthstone came out, there have been loads of knockoffs for sort of free to play knockoffs for your phone and stuff, and they're basically the same game. And this is the first one I've seen where I'm like, oh fuck, that's actually quite different and interesting. So I'll probably just download it on my phone instead and then give it a proper go. But quite
I've just googled
interesting.
Lightseekers and there's physical sort of toys with it.
Is there?
Yeah.
Shit, that's dangerous.
Yes.
Because obviously I'm the new super fan.
Toys of Life is back in Sean's house.
Everyone, I have to buy a lot. Well, got Starlink, so that's it. I'm in now.
Did you play Starlink on the weekend? Because what's that thing I sent you? It was like all the toy.
I completely forgot. Yeah, they made one of the ships free for the weekend, didn't they? I totally forgot.
When I first saw that information, like there's a tweet saying like it's going free to play, and I was like, "What, this weekend? Like anyone can play it?" But actually, when I delved in, it was just like one of those sets were free to play or whatever, or free trial. But
it was like a ship and some guns and a pilot, wasn't it? I think. But yeah, no, I totally forgot to play that. So that's good. We did. Didn't someone? It might have been in the Discord. Someone was saying that I haven't played enough based on the things I said last week.
Yeah, if you feel like you don't need to swap your weapons and whatnot, then you haven't played enough.
Yeah. Yeah. So, no, which I do acknowledge, I probably do need to play more of it. I was just, we'll see.
Do you think that is something you do actually want to go back to, or you might if you happen to?
I think I've got other things I would rather play first. But I would like to go back to it at some point. But I mean, we know what happens to games that we say that about.
Yes, that they get pushed to one side and Destiny 2 comes on the screen.
Yakuza Zero's, it's going well. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it from me. It's been a boring week.
Are you playing Monster Ball on the Switch or on the PlayStation?
Switch.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Did you play it on PS4, James?
No, I played it on Switch as well.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a really good looking game. That Monster Ball. It looks so nice.
Like normally when a game looks that good, there's a risk of it being like overly detailed or overly animated or whatever. But no, it's like perfectly responsive, really readable, but really charming and beautiful as well. Yeah, good game.
Nice one
so far. James, you want to go next?
Yeah, I mean, I also haven't really got a lot this week of stuff that we haven't talked about before. I mean, Red Dead Redemption 2 I've gone back to, and I've been playing that quite a lot, because also I managed to get remote play stuff working, which was quite exciting, because there's an app now for iPad and iPhone where you can stream the content to, like, you can stream from your PS4 to it, so you can... you can do it that way rather than having to use a Vita or computer or whatever. And it's kind of amazing, because when I first saw this, I was very sceptical, because I thought, okay, this looks like it could be a scam of some description.
I said that, James, this thing looks amazing. You're like, scam, who would buy that? What's the point?
Yeah, because it's not an official app, is it? It's a third party.
It's not an official one. But the performance is significantly better than the official stuff. Like, really significantly better.
But it's almost instant, isn't it? Like, when you log on, I haven't done remote play for ages. I remember doing it on my Mac, and it wasn't quick basically. But it feels like it's pretty much straight away. You're suddenly in on your dashboard or wherever you want to be.
Yeah, you just press play, and it connects seriously instantly. And then also it's all like you can choose what sort of resolution you want to do it at. 60 frames per second or whatever, and the quality is significantly better than the official stuff as well. Like, I've had very, very minimal glitching when I've used it. And the other thing is, I found out a way that I could still use my DualShock, to play. So as long as I'm within range of my PS4, I can still play using a DualShock, which it feels like you're just playing it on TV.
What's the really complicated method you told me about guest accounts and the pad? It sounded horrific when you told me.
It's not really that complicated, because on the instructions they explain to you how you can do this, and they say, this is difficult, but it's not really. All you have to do is you just create another guest account on your PS4, but it has to be one that's got a PSN address as well connected to it, but it can be a free one. It doesn't have to be a paid for one, and then you basically just register the app with that account instead, and then what happens is it connects to that one. But then when you press the button on the DualShock, it switches back to your main account. So then you can just use that. And this is what made me try this, because I was happier about it from a security perspective, because it means that I'm not giving the app my real PSN ID. I'm giving it the dummy one, which has got nothing on it at all. Even if someone got that, can't do anything with it at all anyway. So it works so well. And when it's when it's the weekend, and if the kids are watching TV or something like that, it's really useful, to be able to just switch it on and just I can play on my iPad instead, and it just looks really good. So I got through a fair bit of Red Dead Redemption over the weekend because of this.
I got grief saying I wasn't appreciating Red Dead Redemption 2 to its fullest, and then you're playing it on an iPad screen.
Yeah, no, Matt, you got grief because you rushed through it and didn't bother trying to interact with any of the characters or anything.
But you're playing on a fucking 7-inch screen.
So? It's not a 7-inch screen. It's 9.7 inch, Matt. It's,
Of course, he knows the 2 decimal places.
Yes, definitely.
But either way, at least I'm spending time to sort of, enjoy talking the characters, exploring
Have
all
you
that
talked to
kind of
every
stuff.
single person in the camp at all times of the day, every single day you're playing the game?
You'd forgotten who all the people were. Like, it's just...
There's middle ground between that and not remembering anyone's names, Matt, be honest.
It was just the chef. I knew all the other guys. Clive,
So anyway...
Frampton, Stephen, Stuart, Sheila.
I was gutted when Stu died.
I know. Me too.
Big Stu.
Big Stu dead. Oh, sorry, spoilers.
Oh, whoops, yeah.
Either way, it
Anyway,
is a
you're
very
playing on
good
your
game,
phone.
though. You're right, Matt. Have you finished your little skip?
Just okay. Are you enjoying the game? And what chapter are you on?
It's well, I've just started chapter 4, and it's. I mean, the end of chapter 3 is fantastic, and I really, I mean, I took quite a lot of screenshots as well as that was ending because it was.
Wait, took a lot of screenshots on the iPad. You press the power button and the slide.
Matt, you can still use the share button. It's fine.
Okay.
For a second, I did think, like, well, what's he taking the screenshots
Exactly. Like, you really had to squint
using it
to
on
see.
remote play, you idiots. Anyway,
I mean, I think this
because
is
if you did the
worse.
screenshot on the iPad, you get all the compression artifacts.
Exactly.
Yeah, of course.
Like, I was playing it
but
like...
you're not going to, are you going to get compression artifacts because it's taking it on the PS4?
No, that's what I'm saying. If you took it on the iPad, you would get the compression artifacts, but taking it on the PS4, you don't. Does that make sense?
You're playing it. I mean, that game is stunning, and I didn't for 1 second complain about the graphics of that game. It's unbelievable. You're screaming to watch.
You just said it was a last-gen game and didn't remember
Listen
who
to what I
most of the
said,
characters
James. I
were.
said some of the
because
mission
you rushed
structure,
through it.
and I like to. Do you have? So you've obviously played more. Do you think the mission structure has wildly changed since the last gen?
I wouldn't say it's wildly changed, but it still works very well here.
Okay, but anyway, you're playing Red Dead Redemption 2 on a bloody iPad. It's unbelievable.
I just
From
can't
time
believe
to
he's
time,
not
just so I can get
playing it in
some gaming in
HDR,
that.
to be honest. I think that's the...
Yeah, you could have done that in what's it called? Like, whatever it's called, yeah. You can play on a 70-inch screen instead in VR. Anyway.
I've tried that. It's terrible. It makes you feel sick. It's not very good.
Yeah, the resolution is bad. I played one game of PES on that, and I was like, oh, this is quite a good novelty, but the resolution is bad.
I tried to watch when I got my... I can't remember, I might have said this last week. When I got my PSVR, I tried to watch Blade Runner 2049 in 3D on it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Nah.
You know how you can choose the size of the screen as well? Like, you can go between, like, small, medium, or large, or whatever. But
can you?
Yeah, you can. But it's not worth putting it on small because then it like follows wherever your head's going, and it just feels horrible because it's just not
chasing
very good.
you.
And large is too big.
You need to change the screen size. At least try the massive one because it is quite a novelty to see.
Yeah, okay. No, I didn't know that was a thing. That might be worth a go.
But it still looks terrible. Anything looks like kind of terrible.
Anyway, so you've been playing Red Dead Redemption 2 in the size of an envelope.
Yeah.
So what did you think about
a fat envelope, Matt? It's a big
still
one.
an envelope, mate. Okay, yeah. But you're hugely enjoying it, I presume.
Yeah, it is really good. I mean, one of the things that I'm enjoying the most about it is my horse. I don't know. I just kind of love the horse. I just love getting about on it, the feeling of controlling it, and it's just the subtle way it moves around. It's just it's great. It feels
it's good.
It does feel like alive. Like it's something you're sort of that you don't have complete control over. And it's been the best thing.
Have you had many accidents on your horse? Because I didn't have any on mine.
Did you not? Oh, I had a couple.
Yeah, I obviously read loads about Pool, maybe putting in cinematic mode, not looking, or just falling off cliffs and stuff. But I was really conscious about that. Maybe because I've seen so many like videos of it online. So yeah, I kept my horse in good nick. But have you had many accidents on yours, James?
I've crashed once or twice, but it's not been fatal, so it's been okay. But yeah, that has. Do you know the worst thing about that is I've really learned like not to bother trying to do missions at night if at all possible because it really does go kind of like pitch black and you can't see anything. And it's like I was like riding through a forest and like just went straight into like a tree and that wasn't good.
Yeah, well, I, even if it's nighttime, I certainly wouldn't be bombing through a forest.
Sometimes you're being chased, Matt. You've got to get away.
Yeah, okay, I'll be now.
Strategy, mate. Yeah.
Either way, it's very good. The other games,
and you're doing all the side missions, I presume.
Yeah, of course.
You're doing every side mission and talking to every character.
Not mainlining it, Matt. I'm not just trying to get through it as quickly as possible.
No, I did that, and I had my issues with that. But what a game! What a game!
Yeah, It is very good. The other game I've been playing I've been playing New Super Mario Bros. U.
Oh, okay, cool.
Which came out last week, and it's weird because I played and finished the Wii U version of this ages ago, and I wasn't going to bother getting this, but then you know what I'm like, and I did. And it's got, because I got it also because it's got like the additional content. It's got the new Super Luigi Brothers or whatever. It's got that.
Oh yeah.
And also my son wanted to play it, and at the time I've said on the show before, when like quite a long time ago, that it's one of the best 2D like Mario games released, and I can kind of remember though why I didn't feel like that when I first started playing it, because the first couple of areas in the game aren't great. It only starts to get seriously creative and interesting about like sort of 2/3 of the way through, but then the other stuff from the beginning starts to become more interesting when you go back and start trying to collect like all the gold coins and the big coins and stuff like that, and you start to notice stuff that you didn't notice the first time round. But it's also, I'd forgotten that it is also really very difficult. Like for my son, it's been like a massive struggle, like to play. They've added. Do you know there's that character called Nabbit? Have you heard of this?
Yeah.
So they've added him as a playable character, and it's good because if you play as that character, you can't get hurt. Like if you walk into enemies or whatever, you don't get hurt at all. But the jumps are still often brutal, and it makes it really quite difficult. It's still great. I'm about, how far am I through? About halfway through, I think. But it's just been nice to be able to play it like in handheld and sort of just whenever I feel like it. And I'm looking forward to unlocking everything in this. And it's also got these really like nice like challenge mode bits as well, like where you got to do stuff like jump on like Goombas like one after the other, like all of them like in the whole screen, to try and get as many 1-ups as you can and stuff. And it's it's pretty cool. It's kind of good. But there's one big problem I've got with it that has kind of angered me. I don't know if any of you have heard about the problem with the jumping in this.
No.
Okay. So they've made some modifications. On the Wii U, you could make Mario spin by shaking the controller. So like if you shaked it, then he would like spin around. On the Switch version, you can still do this by pressing like one of the shoulder buttons. So that's okay. But what they've done now is they've done it so that if you press the jump button twice, he also spins. And this is messing me up like big time, like as I play this, because you know how it is. For the past 30 years, I've always pressed the jump button again when hitting something so that I can gain more height. Like you jump on like a shell or whatever, and then you can gain more height with that. But now it's really difficult to do that because if you don't, the timing window is like really, really small. So if you don't do it exactly right, you spin and then you end up like dying or whatever, or like crashing into something. And it's it's really, really frustrating, I found. It's still possible to do it, but it's just really tight, like the amount of time that you've got to press the button.
Why would they have made such a substantial change to something that's been in Grand Appeal for like 30 plus years?
Apparently, it's because of Super Mario Run, because that's how it works in that game. And they've changed. Yeah, exactly.
What?
They've
I don't
changed
believe
it.
That. Where have you read that from?
Well, that is how it works, because that is how it works in Super Mario Run, and it's exactly the same. So, a lot of people are assuming that the reason is because they're thinking, okay, people have played Super Mario Run, so they're using the same kind of mechanic, so that it makes sense to those people. But for people like me that have been playing it for like 30 years or whatever, it's really annoying because that's part of like the muscle memory of like when you're playing the game is to do that. And so I just wish they'd have made it an option so you could change it, so that it doesn't do that. But you can't. It's just that's the way it is, and it's really irritating. It's still a very good game, but it has irritated me. This has. It's going to take a long time, I think, to get used to that. If that's something they're going to do going forward, that's very irritating.
And for Mario Run to be the game that fundamentally alters the way Mario games are played from now on seems a bit.
Because it is, you press jump and then you kind of press it again, around the right moment so you can just get more height, and it's just, I don't know, very irritating.
This is the first 2D Mario that's been released since Run came out, I presume, right?
It is, yeah.
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, that's sad that they think, oh, well, there's loads of extra audience members now. We'll just... That just seems crazy.
I could understand if Mario Run had been this, like, incredible, like, holy shit, millions more people now play Mario, but I don't feel like that happened, but maybe that's our perspective on it. I don't know.
Yeah, Mario wasn't like exactly the most inaccessible game. It's not like, well, thank God it's a mobile version because I never would have been able to play the home versions. It wasn't like it even open to a new audience, really. I bet.
Yeah, it wasn't this incredible renaissance for Mario
games
like
are
you
back,
said.
Everyone. The mobile game saved the franchise.
Yeah, and then now redefined how it works going forward. That seems really odd. And as you say, I just can't believe it isn't an option. Like, I mean, make it the default if you want, but why not allow people to change it to the old style? That's really strange.
But yeah, really irritating.
This game does have some Mario Run style like challenges, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah, it's got like challenge mode stuff as well, and there are similar kind of things in that. I mean, the 4-player is really good. I mean, you can play it with a group of people, but the big problem with that is that you have to play with people that are like reasonably good at Mario games, because it is hard. I mean, this is why I've always maintained, like, if you want to play a Mario game with somebody who's not that great at platformers, you play a 3D one, because they're significantly easier. The 2D Mario games are really difficult by comparison, and if you're just starting out, it's too frustrating, to go through.
Yeah, I was sort of interested in this, having never played the Wii U version, but then the reviews all made it seem like it's totally inessential Mario game.
It's not.
Fine,
I wouldn't go that far. It's not inessential, because it is seriously. It's one of the best 2D ones they've ever released. It's very, very good. It's just, I mean, for somebody like you, Matt, who's never played any of these games, you wouldn't even notice the stuff with the jumps, so it'd be fine.
That's true.
You're totally right there.
If you,
I've played a lot of Mario Runs, so.
Yeah, exactly. So you're the target audience here, for this. It's,
I'm a new Mario fan.
Yeah,
maybe. I would like to, but I mean, it probably costs £65 at the moment, probably. So
no, it's not that much. I'll lend it to you, Matt, when I'm done with it, if you want.
Awesome, yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, I would like to, because more Mario is always good, but it's a shame. What's this about? What is it like that new? Is it not Bowser? Who's the other? Who's the new?
There's Toadette, there's that Toadette thing. I mean, I've hardly done that. I mean, when Rachel played it with me, she was doing that. Like, you'd be like Toadette, and then you put the crown on, and then it turns into like a Princess Peach kind of character. But the whole Bowsette thing never happened. They didn't put that in the game.
It's not canon.
It's not canon. No, they put the into that.
It's not canon, it just appears regularly for some reason on my Instagram search page. I don't know who told them.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's
Sean, that's only because of what you're searching for. So.
You follow DeviantArt. Is that the thing?
Yeah, chock-a-block. Yeah. Okay, so that sounds fine. I'm still not like, but if... I know.
If you're not into Mario games, this isn't going to change your mind or anything. But it is very good. I mean, it's especially once you start getting into the later stuff and it starts to get a bit surreal and weird. And it's
I'm into the 3D ones. I just haven't played many of the 2D ones. It was weird because I actually hammered Super Mario Land back in the day, but I knew because out at night.
Why is that funny, James?
Don't that was the
derisive
Game Boy
laughter.
It's. Sean, come on! It's the one that that wasn't made by by the proper studio, was it? Was it?
No, I know what you mean.
It was the original Game Boy one. So that's why I played loads.
But the Mario Land was not very good. It was okay. It was good for
Super
the time,
Mario Land,
but it was,
James, get it right. Super Mario Land.
Yeah, it was not as good as the other ones, obviously.
Would you say in terms of 2D Mario, because obviously we have that sort of data mined SNES games list for the Switch online service last week, I think it was, and Super Mario World was on that, and I've obviously listened to podcasts in the last week or so, and everyone's like, "Oh, Super Mario World is one of the best games ever." Is that the best 2D Mario game, or are you too super psyched to play that again?
I would say it probably is, maybe. But this is why I'd say that this one, like Super Mario Brothers U, is up there definitely within the top, maybe top 3, top 5. Like, it's that good. It's it's very, very good.
I will say, my life could be so different. I love my Master System, and Mega Drive was the obvious next option. But I remember I used to go shopping, obviously, when parents loads when I was younger, because I was a child. I didn't have anything else to do, and I remember lusting over that Super Mario World SNES bundle they did. It was like 120 quid. And I was like, oh god, I wanted it. It looked so good, and I haven't really played much Mario in my life, but either we couldn't afford it or the Mega Drive was a done deal. But it could have been so different but I desperately wanted that. So if and when Super Mario World comes to Switch, I cannot wait to play that. Only because
it's fantastic.
It's the same for my childhood. I never quite got to play, and I never had a SNES or NES actually. So
yeah. I mean, I have a massive soft spot for Yoshi's Island as well.
That's never going to come out again, though, is it? Because of the other problems.
It was on that list.
Was it?
It was on the supposedly leaked list of SNES games. Yeah,
okay.
But because I remember
that was another SNES classic, right?
Yeah. And that was because it was very much towards the end of the SNES's life, so it's as good as a SNES game will ever look. Like it's stunning.
It was the one that came out around the same time as Donkey Kong Country, and Donkey Kong Country did really well, and like Mario World 2 didn't really, and even though it's completely unjustified, because like Mario World 2 is like definitely the better game, like absolutely 100% the better game, and also looks better as well. Like if you look at it in retrospect, it looks a lot better.
Do you know the story around that?
Which one?
With Miyamoto.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So
he was right. he was absolutely right.
Basically, Matt. So Miyamoto went. I think he went. He was working on So Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island, and went to visit Rare to see what they were working on, Donkey Kong Country, and basically thought it looked absolutely disgusting. He hated the sort of 3D render to 2D stuff.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
Yeah, so then he went back to Nintendo and was like, right, fuck this. I want everything in Yoshi's Island to look like it was drawn with crayons and it's going to be brilliant. And he was correct.
Oh, wow.
He was.
Okay. But yeah, apparently Donkey Kong Country is sort of inadvertently responsible for Yoshi's Island looking the way it does.
Yeah. Because I think, I mean, if you look at like Donkey Kong Country now, it doesn't look good, like by comparison at all. If you compare the two games, I think
mechanically it's aged quite well. But yeah, I don't like the look of it.
I do remember seeing that again. Like I remember seeing that in like Debenhams or whatever it was when I was younger, thinking this looks amazing.
Yeah,
I was clearly on the precipice because also the other day I found in my drawers, in my chest of drawers at my house, I've got like I knew this anyway, but I had I've got the original Tetris and Super Mario Land like cassette singles on cassette.
Wow.
So clearly I was like sort of semi Nintendo fan of actually having a console.
Part of you knew what was yeah.
I knew my shit. I've still got that.
Was that the Ambassadors of Funk?
Yeah. Ambassadors of Funk, and so I got that, and I've also got the Tetris one. And also, what's really annoying is that I think there's also like a Sonic single in like around the same time, and I remember seeing it in Woolworths.
There was.
I was like, I want to get that, and I didn't get it, and
But the song was like barely about Sonic, was it? It was like I can't remember.
I can't just remember.
Have like Sonic featured on the artwork and the video and stuff, but it wasn't really.
But yeah, I've still got those two on cassette. I'm sure they're worth £0, but still got those babies. Just sitting in the drawers doing nothing.
Yeah. Anything else, James?
I also played Accounting Plus.
Is this good? Because I bought it in the sale, but it needs move controllers, doesn't it?
No,
I think
you can use
it. Is it not? Okay.
No, you can use it. Another game you can just use a dual shock for. It's
there are many.
Fucking play them.
But I've heard nothing but amazing things when this came out on Switch, not Switch, on Vive and Oculus and stuff back in the day.
Yeah, I mean it's short. It's only about 30 minutes, like to about an hour long, and because I got it because it was cheap, I think it was about £6, like in the sale.
Yeah,
and I thought I'd have a look at this because I'd also heard like very good things about it. And, I mean, do you know what it's about, right? Do you know anything?
I don't know anything. I know it's by Crows, which is why I was intrigued. But that's basically it.
So, the premise is that you're supposed to be, like, entering, like, a VR simulation of doing, like, accountancy work. So, when you put the headset on, you get, like, what happens is you get transported to other VR worlds, though, by mistake. And so the thing is that you're then supposed to be sort of like solving puzzles within each of those worlds to like get out and like get to the next bit. And it's funny because I mean the opening tutorial is voiced by somebody. It just sounds like Capone Adam to me, to be honest. And I mean that obviously worked for me. Like when I was listening to that, I was like, this is already making me chuckle. Like just listening to the way he was like talking, it was like the slow, deliberate, the whole thing. It was really good. But then the thing that really slayed me when I was first playing it is that you enter the accountancy world like right at the beginning, and you have to like answer the telephone, and you answer it, and there's these two guys basically just shouting instructions at you, and it's really hard to explain why it's funny, but it's just the chaotic way that it's presented. Like this, you've got like one guy who's a bit louder than the other one, and the other one sounds like he's in the background, just sort of like giving further instructions, and it's just that really made me smile. Like when I was playing, I started laughing while I was playing it, which is it's quite rare for me. When I'm playing a game, I don't generally laugh that much when I'm playing games. But the other thing that makes it funny is that when you then go into these other VR worlds, you get phone calls from them when they're trying to give you like advice on how to get in, and they sort of chime in with stuff, and it's the same sort of chaotic like nonsense. And I mean, each of the VR worlds that you go to is kind of inhabited by these like people just constantly swearing. Like it's just I haven't heard this much swearing in a game before, but it really works. It's really funny, like the way it's like presented. And you can sit there and listen to the dialogue for quite a long time, and it doesn't repeat or anything, which kind of impressed me. And it's kind of like funny. And most of these people that are like that you meet, they're just sort of berating you for being there, like you know that you shouldn't be like in their world or whatever. You know, you're just like interfering in what they're trying to do and stuff. And then you just, like I said, you just solve the puzzles and everything. The only thing with it I found is that the worlds that you go into, they're a bit hit and miss as to whether they work or not. Like, some of them really made me laugh and were really kind of funny. Others, not so much. And there was some where you're not really, you get, like, because it's like a puzzle, you're not really sure, like, how to progress or whatever. And then you're like, oh, actually, I need to do nothing or whatever. Or I need to do, like, whatever, you know, to make it go through. But it's, I mean, for £6, it was definitely worth playing. I thought it really will depend on how you feel like about silly voices, and you know,
because I really enjoyed. I don't know if you ever played Dr. Langerskoff, the Tiger and the Terribly Cursed Emerald.
No, not played that.
There was a free thing they put out. I think it might be PC only, but have a look on your Mac just in case. It was just a free like 15-minute thing where you basically. So the idea is, it's supposed to be like this heist game, and you start the game, and they're like, "Oh no, sorry, someone else is playing it first. You have to wait for them to finish before you can have your turn." And then it's like you're sort of running around behind the scenes, like activating things and like making the game work. Like you can't actually see what's going on, but basically Simon Amstell is like the narrator, and he's like shouting in your ear, like, "I need to go and do this. Oh, I'm really sorry. I know you want to play the game, but can you just like make it work for this person first, and then you can have a go." And it's it's really funny. So I'm excited about playing Accounting Plus.
You should.
Plus, I only paid about £3 for it because it was in the sale.
Yeah, if you play this before next week, I'd love to talk to you about this, because it's just the voices, like Sean was the thing. It's just their voices just really made me laugh, because it's just exactly the right thing to like tickle me, you know, like as I was like playing it, and it's just and also, I mean, the other thing that's just funny about it is just the way that they react to you, like the characters that you meet in the world, and just like especially when they're like, there's this one section, I won't spoil too much, but it's like there's this like kids that are trying to be like in a gang, as it were. And they're all just like swearing and everything, and they're just like, you know, who the fuck are you, and all this kind of thing. And then they're like, you know, you can't join our gang. You're too cool. You're not cool enough. Do something cool. But then like you do something which goes too far, and then they're scared, and it's just funny. You know, it's just stuff like that. It's it's good. What
are the mechanics in the game? Is it so you're not using moves? So you're not like are you grabbing things in the game, or what exactly are you doing mechanically?
I was using moves, but you don't have to. I mean, you do like grab objects. It does the teleport thing, so you like move to locations, like on the like around, and then like pick stuff up, move things around, or do whatever, just to solve really, really simple puzzles, like really simple. But yeah, they kind of work. But like I said, it just, some of the worlds they don't really hit. And there was one point, I think probably about 2/3 of the way through, where I was beginning to just feel a bit kind of like, not really feeling this now. But then it picked up again, and it was much better. It's it's really good though. Definitely worth playing.
Cool. Nice. Yeah, I remember people raving about that when I was on PC VR. So
yeah.
And the only other thing I played is I played the Ace Combat 7 VR mode demo.
I've played it. Have you played it, Sean?
I haven't yet. No. I need to get it down. Because I've not made a Japanese account and stuff yet.
I mean, it basically took me probably like 3 times as long to create the account as it did to finish the demo.
It was not worth the effort, Matt. Put it that way.
Oh, really?
I mean, the amount of time it took to deal with that, and then you were saying, I mean, there was that whole thing where I was trying to work out where to download it from, because it turns out
I said just go to the page and scroll down.
Come on, even when if you're looking for something on the store, you'd think you just type in Ace Combat 7 like VR or whatever. You do that, it doesn't come up then.
Yeah,
you have to go to another page, and then you have to scroll through a bunch of other things as well before you can find it. You were trying to be all superior and like, oh no, it's just right there, it's right there. Then you sent me a video showing me how to do it where you couldn't find it either.
But before sending the video, I said, it's put on either search or go on the main page and scroll down. And in my roundabout way on the video, I did basically just go to the main page and scroll down, regardless. So you didn't enjoy it at all, James?
I enjoyed it. It's just that it only lasts for about 4 or 5 minutes, and it's like I'd spent about half an hour setting up a Japanese account and like doing all this stuff.
Wasn't half an hour.
I just felt a bit annoyed.
So is it just a time demo? Because I tried to shoot someone and it ended. I wasn't sure if I'd failed or what.
No, I mean I shot down a load of planes.
Okay, yeah, I didn't do that. I was just basically circling the island for ages, like because there wasn't really much to do. And then the other plane flew off, and I saw that plane and saw the enemy planes and tried to shoot them and failed, and the demo ended.
No, they come. So you just use the radar and then like follow the other fighters, and then you got those ones coming in, and then you just have to like shoot them down.
Yeah. I was just following my dude around the island, and he was just doing flips and loop the loops. So I was like, "What's the point of this? This is ridiculous." And I was starting to feel a little bit like dodgy. I was like, "Oh, what's the point?" Anyway, and then he eventually flew off, and I followed him. And then they're like, "Oh, there's loads of bogeys up there." And then, yeah, I mean, I was not quick enough to like possibly just spin around and get everyone, but it was really exhilarating. Flying in this jet above this little tiny island and trying to chase other jets down. I obviously the whole game isn't VR. It's just a select few missions,
which is a shame because it does work very well. I mean, it's like there is that the usual sort of amazing sense of like place that you get in it. But then the only problem with it is that I felt is that it still suffers from that thing that a lot of PSVR games that are like realistic games do, which is the resolution isn't that high, and so it doesn't look that great, and then so you don't feel. I know it's not that you don't feel immersed, but it adds to the feeling of feeling like sort of sick and all that kind of thing. If you know what I mean?
Because it's a bit blurry. Resolution definitely isn't great, but I was quite impressed with like the amount of detail in the cockpit. I think that's definitely one of the better ones I've seen in these sorts of games, or in Games Week, or you're in a cockpit on PSVR. I loads of detail, and yeah, it felt great. To look out the window of this jet and to fly around this island. I was just, I wasn't really. I guess I haven't really got the stomach for like really bombing around and doing flips and all sorts of chases the other opponents, but. I've read loads of stuff on like the PSVR Reddit. Obviously, everyone over there drinks the Kool-Aid, as it were, anyway. So they're obviously all over it. But loads of people saying it's just such a fantastic experience in VR once you really get to grips with it all. And you can plug in like your like flight stick and all sorts. I mean, I haven't got one. Only the hardcore have, but. So I think if you're really into that, it's probably a great game to have. But,
I mean, definitely. I mean, I'm not into like flight sims like that. Well, not flight sims, but you know what I mean, like that kind of style. But it was definitely fun. I mean, I definitely enjoyed it. I probably wouldn't buy it, but yeah,
Sean, I think it is worth setting up. I mean, it's a short one, but
it's worth a go. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I sent that James like how to set up your Japanese account in 60 seconds. I mean,
that takes 60 seconds. Finding the game to download took about half an hour.
Hardly. Anyway, Sean, I think it's worth it.
Yeah, no, I will. Yeah, I think I'm going to try and have like a VR week because, like, basically it's ridiculous how little I've used it, considering it was like my main Christmas present, and like the time I've spent with it has been brilliant. I think it's just like that. Yeah, just having that discipline of being like, right, no, I am just going to put because I've got like every excuse because obviously kid goes to bed about 7. Wife usually goes to bed about sort of 9, half 9-ish. So really, that gives me like an hour and a half, 2 hours to just fucking stick the headset on and disappear and not be rude. So
there is still that thing though, isn't there? Because there is still kind of like a barrier I always find to like using it because especially after like a day at work or whatever, there is that sort of feeling of just like I just want to sit down and just like in front of the TV
and just
or
look
whatever.
at a thing, rather than I know what you mean.
It does require a lot more sort of effort to play, really, than it does other stuff. But it is worth it. I mean, I found since probably the back end of last year and towards now, I found myself playing it significantly more than I did when I first got it. Mostly just because there's so much good stuff now. It's it's felt much more worth it.
And I can't even complain about the like. I thought the setup for it was going to be a fucking mess, but it's fine. Like I've got the extra little box and the camera just sat on a shelf next to the PS4, and with the version 2 of the PSVR headset, it's the cable's really thin and nice. It's not like a big chunky one anymore. So it's really not that difficult at all. You haven't
got the move controls, haven't you? So I'm sure you're probably waiting for that in a sense.
Yeah, that is definitely
you don't need them.
But as you say, there's plenty of games you don't actually need them, so I need to make the effort.
Yeah, but there are games that do. I mean, like Beat Saber, Super Hot, etc.
For sure.
I mean, are they just fully out of stock? Is that it? You can't get them?
They're just not for sale anywhere.
Sony fucked up so bad. They made too many for PS3 and Move when it originally came out. Now they suddenly haven't. Then all the batteries must have died. Now they can't get enough out for PSVR.
Well, that's it. Because when PSVR came out, they didn't have enough stock then, did they? Because I know loads of people who just had them sitting around from the PS3 days were just making a killing selling them off, like getting 70 quid for selling them second hand.
I bought mine from. I think I got mine from Spong, but I think I might have bought another one because one didn't work. And even then, like they were gradually going up and up and up in price. But I got like some PS3 ones, and they still work. I mean, they're probably about to die any day now. But yeah, but you do need a week. I mean, you got Astro Bot, and that doesn't require them, and there's just so much on there. But
yeah. And I've got and I borrowed. Brothers lent me Moss and Doom VFR.
Awesome!
So I got those to have a go on, and many more besides.
Meaning
Tetris,
to try
obviously.
Skyrim in it again, because apparently with the Move controllers that is significantly better. Like with
I'm not the biggest Skyrim fan,
experience.
But I can imagine, it being quite enjoyable to just go for a fucking walk and just, especially like if you does it have the expansion where you can like build a house in the woods and stuff and just?
I think it's got everything. I think
be a hermit. Yeah. That'd be all right.
Yeah, I do really want to try that. Actually, I haven't played it in VR yet, but I also do. I do agree with you. You do sort of have to be in a mood, like because, I've also got like the breakout box just in like the TV cupboards, and I've got the PS3 upstairs. But I just take that in the box. It doesn't take like more than like 3 minutes to get set up. Yeah, but I do feel like I don't want those cables out everywhere, so I like would tidy it away. But if I think, okay, I'm gonna play. When I was playing Astro Bot, I just kept them downstairs because I knew I was going to be playing it every night. So I feel like if you've got a few games on the list you want to play, it's just have a week of really smashing it, and then
that's what I'm thinking. Like if
next big experience,
I think it'll be like phases, sort of on and off. Of sort of being primarily sort of PSVR focused 1 week and then maybe not the next or whatever. I'm really annoyed at myself that I forgot that the PlayStation Store January sale ended on, I think it was the 18th. And I'm just looking at all the VR stuff like, oh man, it's like Star Trek Bridge Commander with the next generation stuff's like 40 quid.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Bridge Crew,
Yeah, sorry, Bridge Crew, yeah.
I played a bit of that over the weekend, actually.
See, I really want to play that with you guys because I think that'd be fucking brilliant. But 40 quid, man. So, Easter sale, here we come.
Yeah. We're waiting for that now.
When you like, because obviously I'd looked through the sale and was like earmarking things and thinking like, I'll grab that because I get paid on the 15th. I was like, when payday hits, I'll grab some stuff, and then just completely forgot in those 3 days I had. And now it's like looking at everything. It's like, well, everything costs twice as much now. So it suddenly all seems like prohibitively expensive. So
I was looking because that's the thing. I was just looking at Skyrim actually because I was thinking I'd like to play that again in VR or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it was cheap in the sale, and now it's up to like 50 quid. And I'm like, no.
Yeah, it's a fucker.
Absolutely not. Too much.
Yeah. Anyway,
it started Bridge Crew. It got a physical release, right? So it's probably really cheap in CEX or something.
And we could probably get plenty of enjoyment out of the original series stuff before.
Oh, definitely, yeah. It's
moving on to the next generation. So yeah.
I mean, it's not even like original series stuff. It's like more like the film era kind of stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's very good. I enjoyed it.
Nice. Matt.
Yeah, so I also played Ice Combat and I played Bloodborne, but I played another game this week called Vane. Now, Vane is a third-person puzzle adventure game from a company called Friend and Foe, and I got to play it basically without seeing anything about it. It got announced at the Kinda Funny game showcase, I think.
That's right. I thought it sounded familiar. Yeah,
and a bunch of other indie games, and. But I wanted to play it basically without seeing any reviews, and it's not often that you get to do it really, because often those people talk about games left unsent, you can't really escape the coverage. Even if you purposely try to avoid reviews itself, you still get to hear murmurings. But I hadn't heard anything about this, and I got a code like the day or on the day it came out. So it's really interesting, and it hasn't really happened much where I get to play a game fully free of any other sort of any expectation, or free of any other sort of ideas of if this game is good or bad or how it's critically received. And I'll come back to the end about why that's interesting. Vane is so it's a third person puzzle adventure. It's when you start it, you think, okay, this is like a journey style game. It's got incredibly sort of I mean washed out is the wrong word, but like pastel or quite
desaturated.
Like desaturated tones. You start off actually in like the first part of the game. You're this boy, and there's this huge, enormous storm happening, and you're basically walking around this location trying to find where you need to go, basically. It's really dark. It's really hard to see, and as well as that, the controls are mushy as hell. Like it just felt horrible to control. I was like, why does this feel so shit just to walk around? I wasn't having a great time with it. It's one of those games as well. I mean, I've seen this loads recently, or maybe been more sort of conscious of it. But it's a game that has no HUD whatsoever.
Right.
And not only that, there was also no indication of where to go. So I was like trying to walk around, and I was like, eventually I found where to go. And then that chapter ended. There was no dialogue. There was nothing. It just faded out, and then it faded up, and now you're a bird. You're this crow. Well, you're a dark bird. It's not sure if you're a crow or like another dark bird, maybe like an eagle or some sort. But you're let's say you're a crow for the purpose of this podcast, and you're on this tree branch, and you can press a button, and then you're flying above this huge vast desert. You can see, basically it's just emptiness around you as far as I can see. You can maybe see some cliff edges around you, but you can fly around. Again, no real indication of where to go. Eventually you see these little basically it's clear that these things are these little veins, these little metallic structures which you can go over, press X, and then your bird lands on them. Even that is tricky and annoying, frankly. You think, okay, I'm pressing X near this thing, and even that is not satisfying. And already I'm at this point 7 minutes into the game, and both the controls of both the boy and the bird are the most unsatisfying thing and downright annoying things I've played in a long time. Once you eventually do find the knack, this fiddly knack to land on this little weather vane, loads of birds congregate with you. You press X, and this weather vane sort of transforms, and all those birds fly over to this other huge structure in the centre of the map. At this point, I'm still not quite sure what I'm supposed to be doing, but I fly over there. I land on another part of this big tower. And something happens. I think the thing might move, and then I'm like, okay, now what? Do I press that again? Anyway, so then I basically go off and explore again this huge, vast desert area, and eventually after 15 or so minutes, I do just realise, I need to find the other 4 or 5 veins in this location. But even then, I was like, am I even doing it right? And what's annoying is that even traversing the environment isn't fun because it's really, really fucking slow, and the controls sort of feel like flight sim era, in the early 90s, where it was just really unsatisfying and really difficult to do anything. The camera is all over the place. Sometimes it's really close to the bird. Other times it's looking a different direction. I'm not quite sure why. You can see where I'm going with this game. So after the bird bit, then that chapter ends, and then you're the boy again. And now suddenly, unlike the sort of quite open world bits of the bird, the boy parts of the levels are quite linear, puzzle orientated ones. And this is where I encountered the first of many ridiculous bugs in the game. So in this one level with the boy, you're suddenly in this area which looks quite vast. So it basically is like a big contained area. So you can explore this big area, but it's not quite open world like it was with a bird. And there's loads of puzzles involving letting other birds free, and those birds will congregate at a certain area, and that basically unlocks this larger puzzle. And I spent ages going from one part of the level to the other, and I was walking down some stairs, and I just got stuck in the stairs. And there's no way to exit. The only way to exit is to basically or exit to menu and restart. And this game has 5 chapters. It only saves at the start. It only saves in between chapters, basically.
Oh, what?
So I had to start that entire chapter again. I mean, admittedly, when I restarted it, and actually I had to do it twice, because the other time I forgot about the bug and on the right hand side of the stairs. Just stupid. I just thought, oh, that's fine. I thought, oh no, fuck, I did it again. But by that point, I can get to that bit again in 15 minutes, so it's not quite so bad. But one central sort of element in this game is that it feels like a lot of the geometry, it feels like it's almost it's like dynamically generated. There's lots of like spherical shaped objects in the world. Loads of these like spherical objects in the world are stacked against each other. It just feels like the creators have found an engine or built a tool that they can just generate loads of geometry at once, and it feels quite natural in that way. But what it does actually is it just feels like I'm just waiting for me to get stuck in the environment again. And also combine that with the really mushy controls and just walking around, which is really unsatisfying. Also, the boy is so fucking slow. It's horrific how slow this boy walks. So I've got mushy controls, and it's slow, and I'm waiting to fall down the stairs again or get stuck in some stairs. I was not a fan. After that, there are some other levels where you're pushing this giant boulder around the map, and that's interesting because wherever the boulder moves, that basically dynamically changes the scenery. Where there might be some stairs, if wherever you move the ball, that might now be like a gap which you can walk through, or where you can see like an opening ahead of you. When you and these other boys move this ball, suddenly that changes the environment, and suddenly there's now a wall there. So there's certain elements where you have to move the ball in one certain section and press a button, so it generates lots of energy, and then you walk around another area where that ball's energy has opened the area. But once again, there's loads of these parts of the game where it's dynamically affecting your environment, and every time that happened, I just got worried that it was going to crash or I could get stuck again. I mean, they've clearly found this technology or built this technology, and this is pretty cool. We can dynamically generate stuff, but I mean, for me, and after having those earlier bugs, I was just worried the whole time it's going to crash. And then you get to the last level, which is basically an absolute nightmare. I mean, I'm going to spoil it, but it doesn't matter. I was
going to say, I don't think I'm worried at this point.
So the last part of the level, you're basically ascending this tower, but the tower is constantly generating. So it's basically you're walking around, so you're. It's a 3D level, but you're basically you're jumping and running up and up and up, but the camera's basically spinning around, and this tower is all automatically generating loads of geometry at the same time. So there's loads of points where I was like falling down something. Am I stuck? Is this how the game is meant to be? Do I have to find my way out of whatever this game is automatically dynamically generated on the fly? It was such a stress. Again, after having the earlier bugs, I'm like, this is just not satisfying. It's like someone saying, okay, look, this game is incredibly buggy, but just try and get through it. I wasn't sure if it was the bugs or that was the game they wanted to make or what, but
it doesn't sound like it.
Yeah, it's just way too much of a stress.
Like,
I was just having a look, and it seems you're. It doesn't seem to have gone down very well this game.
So that's the thing. So. I will say one thing before we get to that. So, like, musically, it's got a really, really great synth soundtrack, and early on, it uses sound really, really well. It's like some really powerful music points where it does do really well to elevate the environment and the position you're in with the boy or the bird. So soundtrack wise, it's fantastic. The graphics, it's really sort of downplayed, but it does do some interesting things with lighting, and I guess arguably the lighting, in conjunction with the dynamically generated scenery. Story-wise, it's one of those classic sort of abstract indie stories where you don't quite know what's happening. There's mysterious figures in cloaks. There's you as the boy or you as the bird, and who knows really. So I finished the game. Oh yeah. Also one thing. I think it probably says a lot that with the review code there was like a guide to the game. I mean, you often with review codes get sent like a reviewer's guide, so it give you all the essential stats, how many maps are in a game, this and the other, developer. But this is actually like, I think it's like a attached Word doc or shared Google doc, and it's like, if you get stuck, here are all the areas to get you out of this stuck thing, which I think sort of says a lot.
Yeah,
it says a lot if they're
great.
like,
and like if this was, like if you'd received that code like a month before release and it was like, hey, look, here's a list of bugs, we're working on it, fine. Like, you have to just sort of take it on faith that those things are going to get fixed, I guess. But when when you got the code the day the game came out and people are expected to pay money for it, that's different.
I mean, so the dynamically generating stuff is impressive, but also it's just a massive stress. Anyway, so I finished the game and I was like, oh, what a fucking mess. Like, I wanted to like that, and early on I was like, this is interesting. You switch between the boy and the bird, and it's got a vibe of those other sorts of games like Journey, and so I know, which is a shitty thing to say because Journey is so above and beyond any of these other games that you normally say, oh, it's like Journey. But anyway, it's like that sort of vibe. I was like, okay, I'm going to like this.
It's just, isn't it really heartbreaking? Like as you get older, you learn not to, just because you don't enjoy a game doesn't mean it's shit, right? You don't just say that things are shit because you personally don't like them. But then occasionally, and and obviously, like no developer sets out to make a rubbish game. That's just
No.
And then occasionally you do come across something where it's just like, fuck, no. This is just bad and poorly implemented, and it just doesn't work.
So I finished the game and I was like, what an absolute joke. But also I'm like, this is interesting because I've managed to play the game and I haven't heard what the critical response is. So I can't even say that, the reviews, good or bad, have affected how it have, made me feel or go in a certain direction. I thought, okay, brilliant. I finished the game. It was like late at night. Although the game, I think, is pointing out like 3 to 5 hours. I think it took me 2 nights of gaming to get through. I googled it. First review, Eurogamer recommended. I was like, oh my god, I've totally misjudged. Like, hang on, did I like it? Or, I was like, how is this the case? And I was reading a review, and it's like a really well written review. Of course, I can't remember. Apologies to the reviewer, but it's really well written. Of course, I was like, how have I missed this? Like, they do mention the controls aren't great. I was like, oh my god! And then I tweeted saying, love it when you play a game you think it's rubbish, and you see the reviews. And other people saying, oh no, it is bad, isn't it? I was like, hang on. And look at Metacritic, and basically, Eurogamer are one of only 2 to give it a positive review. All the rest are overwhelming negative or mixed. But brilliant. I just thought it was really interesting because it's just so rare that I get that opportunity to play a game without knowing the critical response beforehand. So it is the best way to play a game because you're not influenced by anyone else, and it's such a refreshing experience to have. But
but then you get the thing of like, this was shit. Let me just see what everyone else thought, and then if it turns out everyone else loves it, you're like, oh no!
I know.
I'm either an idiot or I did.
I mean, it wasn't Eurogame Essential, thank God. I was like, oh my god, recommended, and I was like, oh my god, what? But yeah. But yeah, I think if I hadn't maybe had those earlier bugs, and one would presume they're going to patch those bugs out. If I hadn't had them, maybe I'll be less worried about it. But those just stress me out, especially with all what feels like. I mean, the last level literally is the geometry dynamically generating in front of you, but the rest just feel like they've probably been. That's probably how they've been created. And if it wasn't for those earlier bugs, maybe I wouldn't be so stressed about it. But it's a shame. It had potential, but my God, no, it was not for me. It's a shame, really, because on some aspects, it does really well, but generally on the whole, it just did my head in, frankly. It's a shame. I mean, you sort of forget when you play games like Inside and Limbo and stuff. I mean, they all have a certain style, but they're so expertly sort of crafted, and they've
and when you've only played the good ones, you assume it must be not easy, but like it's you can sort of assume that games like that will be of a reliable standard.
Yeah. I mean, you look at screenshots of this, you're like, I know to measure this game. It's another one of those games,
Yeah.
But and I mean, I'm sure if and when they patch the bugs, this will maybe be a bit of a different experience. And clearly, other people like Guy Eurogamer and someone else, they think it's really, really good. I did not quite have the same experience, but everyone's different. But that was Vane. It's out on PS4. I'm not sure it's out on Steam. I know it's definitely on PS4. That's all I know. But I
don't think anyone's going to be rushing to buy it after that, but
no, I mean, maybe. I mean, it's probably just me also just getting stressed, because of the bugs, I guess. And anyway,
I don't think
that's not on you. That's still the game's fault.
Yeah.
If the game's bugs are so bad that it's actively making you worry about them going forward, then that's poor, isn't it?
I mean, with so many games, and even not indie games, but there's so many other games we play, Numeros and Call of Duty, all sorts. The bugs are relatively few and far between, but so you sort of forget, this is what a solid game does, and you sort of forget what's like the other end when actually games are probably incredibly hard to make. And it's only because you're so used to the games which have very, very little bugs or very little big bugs. It's when you get one, like, this has got one, but
Yeah.
Not satisfying, unfortunately, but that was Vane. That was my week.
Yeah. Cool. Emails, James.
Okay, if you want to email us, it's podcast@thecomputergameshow.com. The first one we got is from Tom Bailey. He says, "Hello, gents. First and foremost, James's opening Deadly Premonition stream was predictably excellent."
See?
That's very kind. I don't agree, but yeah.
It was definitely excellent, James. I know you were probably nervous, but it was brilliant to watch. I loved every minute. I can't wait for the next one. I know you're worried because you haven't streamed for a while, but yeah, it was excellent. Don't worry about it.
I need to get back into the Hot House as well while I'm playing. I think that'll help.
Yeah, and that.
Please make sure you play through the whole thing, including all side quests. I will play through the whole thing, but I can't make any other promises apart from that. Now to the point, I've been listening to some older pods and particularly enjoyed the bit in episode 74 where Matt scoffs at the suggestion that Fortnite could overtake PUBG in popularity, stating that PUBG will, and he quotes, absolutely destroy it. What's the most wrong you've ever been about a game?
Probably that one. I mean, in my defence, like, Epic just nicked PUBG at wholesale. PUBG was, it was the most popular game ever. No one could have foreseen that. Right?
Literally no one.
No one.
I mean, to be fair, yeah, having not really played either, I would always sort of assumed that PUBG having the head start would always have the edge on new stuff and new ideas and implementing new stuff, and that just doesn't seem to be the case at all. It feels like Fortnite just totally overtook.
Someone would just come in and nick the game wholesale.
Well, yeah,
I think we probably should have done, seeing as the fact that it always looked like the developer put no effort into sort of improving it at all, and it just was in the same sort of state for such a long time.
So I mean, it just seemed quite stagnant in comparison to Fortnite, which it's really strange.
Whereas, Fortnite, they were releasing new stuff pretty much constantly, weren't they? And sort of just kept on doing stuff to it.
Presumably, it's a much larger team, but then the money that PUBG was making, don't see why they couldn't have competed. Yeah. But I don't know.
I mean, I enjoyed PUBG, but I was, once I finally got into it, but the people I play with, we did get, sort of progressively more sort of irritated by all the bugs and the problems there were with it, and the fact that it never seemed to get any better. And often, on Xbox, new releases seem to make it worse, over time. Just simple things like with the UI, where it's the parts of the UI didn't work or were obscured, and settings changed all the time. It's just ridiculous. It's terrible.
Yeah, weird.
In terms of being, I'm probably wrong loads about games. But often I guess I don't really have many controversial opinions about games. I mean, I might be wrong in terms of how I play games, sure, but generally I'm not very controversial on my game reviews. But I was definitely wrong on that. But no one could see that coming.
I think the worst one for me was, I thought Brink was going to be the fucking best online
but loads of people
shooter.
Did though, Sean, to be fair, didn't they?
Well, yeah, a lot of us were fooled with that one. So
it was geared up
count.
to be a biggie.
And it had good ideas, and the free running stuff was cool. It just barely fucking worked, and the shooting wasn't very fun, unfortunately. Brilliant art style as well, but yeah, absolute toilet.
Yeah, I thought Lawbreakers was really, really good. I was excellent on that free demo weekend. Me and John Denton played it. I thought this is just such fun.
That was really good though.
No one else agreed.
That wasn't you being wrong. That was the world being wrong about Lawbreakers.
No one else agreed with you there. What about you, James? You must have loads.
What do you mean, Matt? It's not very nice.
You've got a lot of regrets. Come on, let's.
Yeah, come on.
Well, no, we talked about Donkey Kong 64 earlier. That was
we
fun.
did.
Yes. I thought that was going to be good. It really wasn't. It was. It's really bad. I know I bought loads of games over the time that over the years that I've kind of regretted, but I can't really think of any recently, because most nowadays, because it's so obvious, what's good and what's bad most of the time. You tend not to buy stuff that's really terrible, these days. Mm-hmm. I was wrong about the Switch. I'll admit that. I mean, I thought when we first heard about that and all the the details of it, I thought that was going to be not going to go very well, but it turned out to be very successful.
Well, we all thought there was only going to be about 5 games for it, didn't we? Which at the time, which was worrying.
Well, there was all those things, wasn't there? Stuff like the fact that it only had 32 gigabytes of storage space and stuff, and everyone was just that's mad. Why would you do that? And
as it happens, it more or less works out unless you want. I mean, I know there's a couple of games that just completely break it, but
or you could just buy an SD card and it's fine.
Certainly.
But I was wrong about that.
I guess I thought Xbox was going to absolutely crush this gaming generation, and that went the opposite way.
You must have been the only person who thought that, especially after those conferences. It was It's terrible.
All they had to do was make a better 360. Oh god. Oh no.
It's interesting, I've watched a couple of videos about that on YouTube recently, like sort of, going back to that E3 where they showed off, with the TV and all that kind of stuff.
I would love to watch the original announcement actually.
But that's fascinating. It is interesting, like just the fact that they did kind of blow it, didn't they? Really, because the 360 did really well, and it, at least, I mean, for most of that generation, it was way ahead of the PS3, and then it sort of, eventually, it's sort of the PS3 caught up and everything. But they really threw it away, like in a massive way, just by like changing like direction. I think Kinect was one of the reasons for that, in that it gave them this sort of like belief that because Kinect did so well that they could take it in the lifestyle direction and stuff, and then it didn't work out that way.
It would be really fun at some point to do like record us watching like E3 10 years ago or E3 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean,
take a drink every time something cancelled comes up. And
I mean, Giant Bomb do that exact same thing.
Oh, do they?
That's no reason why we can't do it, Sean. No reason why we can't. I would love to watch old conferences and talk
Definitely.
over them.
I'd love to sit there and watch that Konami one again, because it's still the best one ever.
But that's actually a great idea, Sean. We should definitely do that. But also, I would love to watch the original Xbox One announcement conference, because we're just overwhelmed. I remember all of us. I finished in that thinking, what have they done? What's happened? It was so easy to make a better 360.
All they did, they should have gone all in and not put a disc drive on it, and then it would have all made sense. Yeah. Like the restrictions on, here's how you'd swap games with people and stuff. But like buying games on PSN is probably more restrictive than what they were suggesting. But it was just, I think it was the fact that like it affected the disc games as well, didn't it? Whereas I think if they just went, no, this is the future, it doesn't have discs, that might have played out. But then shops would have all kicked off, because they obviously wouldn't be able to sell any games. It wouldn't have the same high street presence.
Yeah. And you always hear about in America not having great
the
broadband.
Infrastructure's bad, isn't it? With the internet and everything.
True.
So...
Yeah, because you forget how much of America is rural, like most of it, as it turns out.
Also just really bad companies, mind you, we can't talk really. It's pretty terrible here as well. But
But whenever I hear on a podcast of people talk about their internet speeds and stuff, or like huge swaths of the population not having decent internet, and also talk about their like data caps and stuff.
Yeah, the data caps the thing that blows my mind when you hear that. It's like, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Okay, next one says, hey guys, this is from Jack Mulder, and he says, meant to send this over the Christmas break, but totally forgot until the new pod popped up in my feed this week. First off, great job on the first pod of 2019. You guys managed to transition to a Daveless show really well, even if I did keep expecting him to chip in every now and then. Two main parts to this email. Firstly, I received a PSVR for Christmas and have loved it so far, playing Moss, Astrobot, Beat Saber and Tetris Effect, amongst others. I wasn't hugely sold on PSVR until James and Matt were singing the praises of Moss and Astrobot, and when Dave managed to play Astrobot and also spoke highly of it, I really started to hope that one of the gifts under the tree was a PSVR, and I wasn't disappointed. I even agree with Astrobot being named Game of the Year. I loved Red Dead Redemption 2, but Astrobot was just so different from anything else and feels like it opens a door into what gaming could be in the future. My other reason for writing is to do with the Game of the Year format and a suggested addition. I know there's already a listener's choice, which is great for highlighting games that you 3 or 4 might not have had the chance to play, but I want to suggest another listener's choice for the game. The game that perhaps best sums up the year for TCGS. For example, my vote for 2018 would be Detroit, as I can't see anything about that game without thinking of the feud between James and Matt, or Onrush, as I hadn't and still haven't heard anyone singing its praises as much as Dave. It's not so much an award for best game technically or even popularity-wise. Instead, it's a game that you can look at without thinking about the show. Anyway, sorry for the huge email. Looking forward to the next year and seeing how the three of you carry on with the show. I'm still looking forward to every Wednesday morning when a new show pops up in my feed. Yeah, thank you.
Cheers, man. That is an interesting idea. Like a
what game defines the show for that year?
Yeah, rightly or wrongly.
And Detroit definitely would have taken that last year, just with all the shit that we all you guys gave it.
shit game, mate.
I've still not even played it, and I'm never going to.
Oh, it's a shame, Sean. It's a bloody... No, it's fine.
It's a very average game.
Well, so 2017, like, what would it have been in 2017? Because it's obviously easy to like go to like games in like the game of the year and like the game of the night and the wood stuff, but that was just right at the end. That wouldn't have defined the year.
Was that?
Would it not? Was that Breath of the Wild and Mario? Yeah, wasn't it? I think it probably would have still been one of those.
Yeah, I think
I can't really think of anything else.
I mean, we were talking about Zelda for so long.
Yeah, and because Dave was relatively late to it, wasn't it? And then he played it, and the conversation just started all over again, and it was great. So yeah, but no, I can see why like some years that would be an interesting category to have. I think.
I mean, the year before, it wouldn't have been my choice, but Titanfall 2 probably because they talked about that for like 8 weeks in a row.
But exactly, it would just have been whatever game Dave was banging on about for ages. It's just that's what used to happen.
But Dave wasn't banging on about Detroit this year, and I mean last year, and I think that probably would have taken the 2018 title.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to see what the 2019 one is.
Yeah.
All right, next one. This is from James McCall. He says, "Hi guys, I wondered if you ever find yourself having to defend your interest in games when talking about it with others. I'm in my early 40s and I'm still hesitant to mention my love for games when asked what interests I have. I talk about my love for music and movies much more to many more people rather than mentioning games. Every Christmas I get puzzled looks from my in-laws when I'm unwrapping a new game I'd asked for. Does this happen to you at all? P.S. One of the worst occasions of this was in 2003 as I was waiting patiently outside a Virgin Megastore in London for a gaming celebrity signing. A group of very attractive girls shouted out from their office window from over the road asking what we were waiting for. When we told them, they laughed their asses off and spent the next few hours sticking their fingers up at us in the queue and holding up loser signs at us. Normally this would have affected me, but it didn't, because I waited 6 hours in that queue and I met the person inside the store. I spoke to him briefly and he signed one of his newest games for me. His name was Shigeru Miyamoto."
when he says held up loser signs at us.
I know.
Does he mean doing the L with the thumb and forefinger, or does he mean they actually made like paper signs?
I would hope it would be signs that they just written loser.
Yeah, actually they're the losers. Imagine there's a queue outside. Okay, wankers, like. Get on with your jobs. What you've got nothing better to do, clearly. Guys, how about we write loser signs? Great idea, Steve. Let's do that. Let's hold them off for hours. Yeah. Pathetic.
I mean, I think things are very different. 2003 was longer ago than you think. I don't really worry about having to defend it anymore. Like I don't know. I don't know if it's just the way you talk about it. I think if you go in just sort of really unapologetically, just like, yeah, I play video games. I think if you act like it's not a big deal, then people are less likely to think it's weird. But I think obviously, like generally, things have changed. Like certainly, my in-laws don't really get it, but I don't know. I just don't even bother explaining anything to them at this point.
No, see, I do the same thing because I don't talk to anyone about it really because no one cares, and it's just, what's the point? I'm just not really.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have anyone at work that I can talk to about games, and I think if I did have one person, I think everyone else would be like, "What the fuck is he talking about?" But it doesn't really come up. Like, obviously, I know a few people at work who like their kids play Fortnite or whatever. And which is sort of interesting because that gives me a way to be like, yeah, I don't really play it. It seems to be like it sort of skews a bit younger, although it is like fucking massive.
Have you guys played PUBG?
Yeah, I'm a PUBG guy actually. Yeah, it's totally going to crush Fortnite. So yeah, and then there was one like a kid got like really into Overwatch, and I did have to stop myself and who's his main? Because I knew that she wouldn't even she'd be like, well, I don't know, it's a game for kids, isn't it? And I'm like, yeah. But yeah, generally speaking, it's not really something I worry about too much. I think it's certainly a lot more normalised than it used to be. I don't know what it's like for kids these days or like teenagers. I assume they have an easier time of it than we did, like in high school. Oh yeah, I bet they do.
I mean, so many people playing Fortnite. It's more like the kids who don't. I bet they're like, well, you're not playing Fortnite. What's wrong with you?
Yeah. And it's like, so like talking to people at work who've got teenage kids, like over Christmas, they were like, they didn't do anything. They just stayed in on their phone or played online games.
It's not even teenage kids. I mean, Rachel, I was talking to her like about, because she plays games from time to time, and she plays them quite a lot. And she said like, at her school, I mean, she's in primary school, and like all the kids on her table are just talking about Fortnite all the time, and they're like 9 years old. It's
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, a guy at work, he said like him and his wife obviously did Christmas, bought us a present, but actually all their son wanted to do was play Fortnite, so they got loads of other cool stuff. But then like after present opening, he was like back in his room. He got a new headset, admittedly, but he's just like, I just want to play Fortnite. I was like, you could have just got in V-Bucks and you would have had the best Christmas ever.
I don't get it. I still don't get it.
I mean, in terms of work, my mate Joe, I talk to him about games every single day, and there's some other people. I mean, like loads of people like play games, but they just don't talk about it like me and Joe do. But but there's like another guy, Chris, on my table, who's like he's really excited for Resident Evil 2 on Friday, and but I mean, everyone sort of knows me as like the nerd who does the gaming podcast, so it'd be pretty silly for me to say I'm not talking about it. Like everyone knows I'm a massive nerd, so it's all cool. Like I've done like podcast projects at work for other clients, and it's mentioned in the meeting that I've got like a gaming podcast, and then other projects I'm doing, it's like it's related to gaming, and so yeah, cool. I'm just known for that. And in terms of other people, like. Even like obviously like my in-laws, they ask how the podcast is going, and I said we're doing Twitch stuff, and like, what's Twitch, and so
you say you just play games and people watch you and they go what?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was like, but get some money.
I play really bad games, I
mean, I presume you guys have all had to do it's kind of like radio. But you download it on your phone and then listen to it.
It's like
okay.
It's a broad guy. I forget about it. It's a file with forget it. Yeah. So I mean a few years ago, I would have been a bit like but I just fully lean into it now. I'm working with we're working with this other gaming related client at work, and I was talking to one of the women from client services the other day, and she was like, so they just saying about this Twitch thing. What's this Twitch? Is it like Facebook Live? I'm like, oh no, it's like you stream games. And I like took it to Twitch, and I was like, have you heard about Fortnite? It's my boyfriend talks about it. I was like, I heard about Ninja. It's like, no, what is that? I was like, it's this guy, he's like streaming every day, he's making like 500 grand a month. We're like, 500 grand a month? I was like, yeah. And I was like, 10 minutes later, I was like, what the fuck am I doing? It's like, I should have said, I don't know actually.
That's why like every time games are mentioned on any TV show, it's like games are the biggest entertainment product with
they make
selling
more
millions every day.
Movies and music.
Yeah, and it's like because for whatever reason that does make normal people sit up and be like, oh, okay, like that still works for whatever reason. But like, I think that the other thing I have to sort of bite my tongue with is like, say when people at work are like, oh yeah, they all play Fortnite and it's running around shooting people, and it's like. Not dissing running around shooting people, but are you aware like of the like absolutely absurd like breadth that you can get within games now, and like all the different sorts of experiences you can have, and games that are actually like really thoughtful and interesting or artful or whatever, but without being like, oh, I don't play those shooting games, because I do. I don't know, it's interesting. Like you wonder how much like sort of, people slightly older than us realise like how sort of wide games are now. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like that now. But in 20 years' time, like when like the like I guess when like Asher and when Rachel are grown up to our age, it's just gonna be. I like to think that it'll be a bit more normal, but who knows?
Yeah, but by the time we're that age, we might not even recognise what people in their teens are playing at that point. We might even like
we're like, still playing that fork knife.
Yeah.
That's it for emails.
That's it, I think. Tweets.
If you want to tweet us, it's at ComputerGamePod on Twitter. Sean R 2019. How do you think the last one went? I was pretty nervous with the first episode back.
I thought, I was.
Even though I've done it for years.
I was fine until. Yeah, like I was absolutely like, all over Christmas. I was like, not worried about it. It's going to be fine. On the day, I was like, oh no, we have to actually do it now. But no, I thought it went really well. Like, as we've said, we're not saying oh, it's just as good without Dave. But obviously, it'll be different. But I thought it went really well.
Yeah, I mean, it is going to take us a few weeks to really get in the flow of how this show works now, just three of us. I'm sure we'll have guests on at some point, but we're sort of right now just enjoying finding our feet and seeing what this new sounds like. And obviously, we miss Dave, terribly every day, but we'll carry on. It's going to be a while, I feel, until
we still have to hear from him on WhatsApp most days, so it's all right.
Yeah, still getting that, still getting ill feedback. So I think it went well, but we're still early days. We'll keep pushing on. How about that? Yeah. How do you think it went, James?
It's all right.
Okay. Andrei Gushwend, Will James. He's back, actually. Will James publicly apologised to Switzerland for being unfriendly on the last pod?
No, because I wasn't. It was, as I said, it wasn't that. It was just other issues. So it's
it's an international incident. James.
Nothing against the country. It's great.
Nothing against the Swiss. Just the few that I met while I was there.
No, it was absolutely fine. It's
Okay.
Will Matt cut costs on the pod this year and give himself a huge bonus as a new CEO? Well, we had to make ourselves leaner, and so we had to lose a member. I was thinking about the Twitch money. I was like, well, hang on. We have only three of us.
Yeah, but you've paid up for the website and stuff, so actually you're the only one losing money at the moment.
Yeah, but I'm investing back into the business, Sean.
That's true, yeah. Speculate to accumulate. Yeah,
I'll put the money we got, bang it back into the business. I'm sure it'll pay dividends in like 10 years' time when we're millionaires. That's what I'm thinking about. I'm paying the long game.
I'm still paying out every month for Midnight Resistance.
What? What? The domain?
Well, it's on fucking Squarespace, isn't it? And every so often I think,
Sean,
I probably should just... Well, yeah, I think I probably should close it. And then it's like, but I need to archive the podcast somewhere. And
yeah, just move it all to like WordPress.com or something.
Yeah, I know. I should. Man. But I just haven't.
Yeah, I mean, okay. As CEO, it's not about that. It's about, as any good CEO says, just it's about the future. I'm just trying to make a sustainable business. Anyway, what does Sean think about Wargroove? And is it a possible stream game made with community maps or multiplayer?
So I played this at Rezzed a couple of years back, and I think maybe it just wasn't a brilliant demo because it just kind of chucked you into a mission, and you had like 15 different unit types, and it was all just a bit bewildering. It felt, like Advance Wars works as well as it does because it's actually quite streamlined. There's not a huge amount of unit types, and you all have really sort of clear relationships with each other, whereas this was a bit like, oh, this is one unit that does like a lot of damage to these units and a bit of damage to these units and no damage to all of these units, but then loads of different combinations thereof because there's so many different unit types. Probably in the full game it'll like introduce those gradually and it'll all sort of make sense. But as a demo, I wasn't too thrilled about it. But yeah, definitely. Obviously, see what the reviews say. Everyone who's playing previews of it and stuff seems really pumped about it. So I think maybe I'm just an idiot, but we'll see.
Yeah, I never got to play Advance Wars.
It's really good, man.
Yeah, and so I missed out on that. So it's out on DS, right?
Well, it was Game Boy. The first time I played it was on Game Boy Advance.
So I had a GBA SP, but I guess I didn't play it for whatever reason. I've totally missed out, and I've obviously seen this and thought, okay, this is a new one. So I'm really pumped to see what it's like if this does what the original one did, so I can try and experience it. Because
and especially like if you get into Fire Emblem as well. I mean, it's different, but still, it's you sort of turn-based sort of grid, turn-based strategy. So yeah, good shit.
Thomas at LlamaFluff42. Interested in Matt's Bloodborne tactics, which mainly involve panicking, running away. He really doesn't like being chased. Fascinated to see how he gets on loving the streams. Well,
hang on, because if you didn't like being chased, then you wouldn't run away. You can't chase you if you just face them head on, right?
Yeah.
I think maybe you're into it.
I thought that was a tactic. I draw them out, I run back, and I go back in for the kill.
Yeah, just kite them around.
But I really do not like being chased. That's an absolute fact. At Josh Balls, at Joshy Balls 2. I can't remember if it's been asked before, but how did you guys all meet and how did you become members of TCGS?
God, right, trying to think. So I knew Dave first, just through, because obviously 10 years ago, whatever it was a much, the UK podcasting scene was a lot smaller.
Yeah.
So you just sort of found out about each other sort of by default. So I was doing the Dark Zero podcast at the time. Don't look it up. And yeah, so sort of knew Dave through that, and then I think it was at Eurogamer Expo, wasn't it, Matt? Where I was going to meet Dave, and then you were there as well, and we hung out. one evening. So that was when I actually met you both. And then
I remember that. And then it must have been the year after where we did all that the show we did the podcast in the press room, didn't we? Because obviously everyone's seen the whole 10-year challenge thing on Twitter, 2009 versus 2019. I was like, look at some old podcast pictures, and I've got one of me, you, Michael Fox, Dave obviously, and Sven, formerly of Spong. But that's 2011. So I guess we must have met in 2010, and then the following year you guys all did the live Joypod.
God, as if it's been that long. Farley, I can't. I mean, the short answer is I met you guys through Dave. When did we actually meet, Farley? I can't remember. I think it was probably another Eurogamer Expo, wasn't it?
I think it was at Eurogamer. Yeah, it was when we were doing Joypod, I think.
Yeah,
but I bet it's that one that I didn't go to, the second to last one in London before we moved.
Was it the one where Michael got 3 on live consoles?
I certainly remember that year. No, it was on live. It wasn't New Year's on live. No, hang on. It was on live, wasn't it?
Yeah,
that was a good year.
So basically, through we've all met through podcasting, and then
I mean it's a bit different for me because I guess I met Dave because I was also on Rollmock for Gaming Forum.
Oh, that's right.
Dave. Dave in the gaming podcasting thread said, me and Michael from the forum have recorded a gaming podcast. And here it is. It didn't have a name. They're recording using SingStar mics in Mike's flat or Dave's flat at the time, with a sock over each one apparently. And being there, I was clearly the same even 10, 11 years ago. But I thought, well, it's good, but how about I email Dave with loads of suggestions to make it bigger and better? So I sent him a massive PM saying, I think it's really fantastic what you're doing, but how about this? And I was like, and I swear to God, on one of them, I basically invented Instagram. I was like, how about if we create something whereby listeners can text in pictures? And I think one of my examples was, if they're in the queue for a new console launch, how often does that happen? I was like a feed of pictures of all the listeners stuff. I basically invented Instagram, but I mean, I think I probably have got that PM somewhere because when Rollmock moved to new servers, you could download every single PM you've ever sent, and I did that. So I should probably find that and read out that really horrifically embarrassing PM. I might try and do it for next week, but we'll see. I sent him a massive PM saying it's great, but how about if you want to be massive, you should change these things and make these improvements. And somehow Dave responded, and now we're best friends. So I don't quite know how that worked. And then James, I obviously knew of you because you were also in Rollmock, but you, Dave, and Cinnabar and Evan were playing games, and then I guess Dave invited me to a gaming night where you used to play Left 4 Dead and stuff, didn't you? And that's I guess where I met you for the first time. I must have taught you in Rollmock, but
I think it was because I mean I knew Dave first because I met him playing on Xbox Live when it first came out, and we used to play on there together with a whole group of other people, and then I remember when he started up Joypod because he sent me the first the one that never got released, the sort of the preview one
pilot
of what it was like, and asked me what I thought of it, and then then gradually we sort of just...
Did you write a massive PM with all those suggestions or not?
No, I just said it's all right. It's things you need to try, but it was good, and then we just sort of fell into it all, really, I guess.
Yeah, and that's it. What else? Athene Alan, Resident Evil 2 is out this week. Are any of you getting it, or are you all cowards? What do you think of Resident Evil 7?
I played
I'm a coward.
7, which was
certified
great.
Coward. Thank you.
Massive coward. James, are you getting it? What's your thoughts?
I'm not getting it yet, but as I said, I've played and finished Resident Evil 7, which was I really, really enjoyed. But this is the Resident Evil games. They're not insta buys for me. They're ones that I'll get later, in the year when the price has gone down a bit, and I know I'll definitely enjoy it. It's just I just don't want to play it right now because I've got too many other things to play at the moment.
Yeah, I absolutely can't wait. I'm hopefully going on Friday, but I really want to because even though I know it's going to ship me up, I'm really pumped for it. So hell yeah. I couldn't handle Resident Evil 7 in VR. And maybe I could have played it outside. Actually, I don't think I could have even done that outside VR. No way.
No, in VR was
scary games. Have you seen a demo that someone's put out? They've remade PT in Dreams. Have you seen it? It looks amazing. It looks really good.
It's really interesting because everything we've seen of, or most of the things we've seen of Dreams have this really interesting art style, whereas this is like, no, this is just a totally straight-laced recreation of a house. Like it's and it's just really cool seeing that Dreams is going to be capable of doing that sort of thing.
I mean, obviously graphically it's not quite got the sheen of like the original like PT engine, but like all the things we've seen have been like bright, colourful, sort of ethereal, sort of fantasy stuff in many ways, or quite abstract. I mean, there's been loads of those examples. I mean, even at EGX, there was one that's like a text adventure. There's loads of crazy stuff. But yeah, you're right. I've never seen anything like this. And I was like, wow, they have recreated, this version of PT. So even seeing that sort of gets me excited for what Dreamers could do. Again, I've no chance of spending time building anything in that game, but it's still pretty exciting. Kurt Lewin at @angry_Kurt. If you could ask the listeners a question, what would it be? James.
Fuck. Oh, I don't know, Matt. This is.
Did you look at his questions beforehand?
No, of course not.
Okay. Adam Turner. I'm sorry, Kurt. Adam Turner. Which standalone game that didn't receive a sequel deserves one?
Ice Climber.
Oh, you see,
I was going to.
I didn't say it was rubbish.
Exactly. That's why a sequel would improve upon.
Yeah, all the qualities
of the original. I mean, I still want a proper sequel to Dragon's Dogma. I mean, Dragon's Dogma Online is a thing, but not outside of Japan and Asia, I think. So that's shit and annoying.
Is the team that made that still around, or?
I think so, yeah. Because I think because obviously the Switch port is happening, and I think some of the original team are on that.
I obviously knew you're a massive fan, and when the Switch port news dropped, maybe it's just the bubble we're in, but everyone's like, "Oh my god, Dragon's Dogma!" Was the original Dragon's Dogma, was it like a cult hit? Was it a big seller?
Oh,
was it a nothing? What was the deal?
Cult hit for sure. Yeah, it's one of those. It's like it's a bit awkward. There was a lot of when it first came out. There wasn't much of a fast travel system in it, and the world wasn't huge, but that meant you were basically like running between like the same sort of 2 or 3 places quite a lot, which was an issue, and they fixed it with Dark Arisen, which was the sort of standalone. So it was DLC, but you basically just bought like the base game again. It was like basically just released it for like 15 quid or something, and that fixed that. You got these little stones that you could basically place on the ground, and they became your fast travel markers, which was really cool because it just meant you'd like buy a few of those and be like, right, I need to set up my own fast travel network, and you'd figure out like places that were most useful for you to place these stones and stuff. So that was really cool. But yeah, it starts out as like a sort of pretty much like cookie cutter, action RPG, and then once you start getting into like the sort of there's like more advanced classes that you can play as. There's like this one that's like called like the Magic Archer, which is basically like you're running around on foot, but it's kind of like Rez in that you bring your reticle up and you're like painting targets and then just going boom and like shooting off all these magic bolts everywhere and stuff like that. It's really cool. And narratively it gets really interesting later on and really weird. Like you do what you think is the end of the game and then it completely isn't, and loads of the interesting stuff happens. It's
I remember
really
you talking about Midnight
game.
Resistance. Like, did you ever spoil that or not? I can't even remember.
I don't
even at the
think
time, I probably listened to it thinking I'm never going to play it, but my memory's so shit I don't even remember it. So, but I remember you saying the ending is so interesting.
I can't remember if I spoiled it or not. But I did the Kane and Rince episode on it, which was really cool because that was like the first chance I got to actually just talk to a load of people who'd all like also finished it and got really into the lore and stuff.
Yeah.
So that was really good fun. But yeah. So yeah, that's my answer. Dragon's Dogma.
My
2,
answer for this
please.
is always the same. It's Burning Rangers on the Saturn. that game deserved more, and a sequel in 2019 would be amazing.
James, you sticking with Ice Climber?
I'm sticking with that, yeah.
Fucking hell. All right, well,
okay. We had loads of great questions, but we're going to end it on this one. A Futile Exercise at Futile Exercise on Twitter. I've seemed to get a thumbs up for all of you doing an escape room together. What other group activity would you like to do or think others would find most entertaining to watch you do?
Paintball.
So was this on James's...
My first answer was airsoft, definitely. But paintball would work.
That. No way.
Airsoft to paintball would be brilliant.
I think paintball
so the escape
would be really
room
funny.
thing, was this during James's stream? Someone mentioned that they'd pay to see us all do an escape room, and I was like, to be fair, I'd be up for that.
Yeah, I've never done one, and I would also love to do one, yeah.
Yeah,
I did one once before in China. It was all right. It's interesting.
presumably there are rules about filming it though, right? Because if you put that online and then you just spoil it for everyone else.
Yeah. I mean, maybe. I don't know what the rules are. I would assume I don't want you to spoil all the answers, but I would like to. We'd like to give one a go for sure.
I think that would be good fun.
There's like 5 in Leeds. It's crazy.
Yeah, there's loads here as well.
Yeah, and I still never bothered. But yeah, I mean that. When I read this question, I thought, okay, airsoft paintball. To hear James like squeal would be quite nice. But like also like for some reason, one of the other suggestions in my head was us all like having to work in like a really stressful kitchen.
That'd be the worst. Why would you want to do that?
You know, like serving covers, and we got like a chef. Maybe one of us is like the head chef or someone shouting at us, and we're like, James, the sauce, the DJ. Oh, yeah, I don't know why my brain went to that.
I don't know how we'd go about doing that though. It'd have to be like a volunteer kitchen, so we'd just like ruin.
Yeah. If Gordon Ramsay's listening, like I wanted to see us all, you shout all 4 of us, us 3 and Dave. I don't know why I would like that. What are you, James?
Good. I said paintball. I think that would be brilliant.
It would be good, yeah. I mean, I've done paintball and I've liked it. I think airsoft is better. Can we not
just do Laser Quest, lads? Come on.
I've never done that either. Like Quasar. Let's do Quasar.
Quasar's not a thing anymore, surely.
I bet something similar is, but yeah, Quasar itself is RIP. Yeah. That's it for tweets. If you want to leave us a tweet, it's at ComputerGamePod on Twitter.
Cool. That's it then, isn't it?
That's it, yeah.
That's the end of the episode. Well, streaming schedule, Matt.
Yes, so so we're streaming 3 times a week. This Friday, James is back for another episode of Deadly Premonition, Friday from 9 p.m. I'm back for Bloodborne Sunday from 9 p.m. And Sean will be playing more indie games, old and new, in this series called Play by the Bell on Tuesday at 9 p.m. So Friday, Sunday, Tuesday, go to twitch.tv/The Computer Game Show or just search for us in the app. We're also streaming on all other channels, but yeah, go to Twitch. If you've got Amazon Prime, you also have Twitch Prime. So think about linking those accounts and you get 1 free subscription a month, and we'd really appreciate it if you went over to our account, twitch.tv/Computer Game Show, and gave your free monthly subscription to us. We really appreciate that. And of course, the podcast is on every service, on Spotify. And I added us to Spotify because that was like a thing. And so there's the moment I hear about a new service to add us on, I add it on. But I've really adopted Spotify now as my like desktop podcast player of choice.
Really,
I think it's brilliant. The only annoying thing is because I also have Spotify on my phone, but I use like a dedicated podcast player for that. I use Overcast. The annoying thing is like when I listen to a podcast during the day and then I go out for lunch, I'm like, where was I in the show? So
because they're not synced.
I guess I could choose Spotify, but I've like. Not all podcasts, but most of the game podcasts I listen to are on there, and it's just I've got it open anyway all day for music, so it's just really nice just to have the podcasts on there. So yeah, we're on Spotify, we're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, everyone known to man. But if you are on Apple, think about leaving us an Apple Podcast review because that really helps us get up the charts so more people can see us. And that's about it. So that's it. Streaming basically is a big one. Friday, Sunday, and Tuesday every night all those nights from 9 p.m.
Cool. Right. That's us. Cheers, boys. And thanks for letting us be natural.
It's still good.
Still terrible.
It's still good, Sean. Well done. Okay. Oh, goodbye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. I got all excited.